the sun beat down. I had the radio on, I was driving. Trees flew by, me and Del were singing. Little runaway, I was flying. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery, going where it leads. Running down a dream.
It's NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series, the Ford EcoBoost 400 from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Let's go to the grid. Dave Burns.
You know, Rick, Kyle Busch has some unique driving talents, but they've been tested this year by a rules package which has left him openly frustrated at times. He needs to turn things around here today, and it would be ironic. He's even said so. Yeah, I'm going to change that. He hopes his next win comes here today, Parker.
Dave, Kevin Harvick at 43 years of age is the oldest of the championship four. He may not have the most wins, but do not fret, Kevin Harvick fans. He has the best average finish in the playoffs. His record at Miami is impeccable. They feel this is their championship for the taking, Kelly.
5 years ago, Martin Truex Jr. had just 2 career wins and an uncertain future in this sport. Now 24 trips to victory lane later, he stands at the doorstep of championship #2 success that back then he never thought possible today. He's looking to join Jimmy Johnson as the only active driver with multiple championships, Marty.
Kelly, today will be Denny Hamlin's 3rd shot to win a championship here in Miami. He told me honestly, you know the feeling you get when you know it's your day? I never had that in 2010 or 2014, but today I do. I can see myself holding that trophy at the end of the night, and I promise you, nobody wants it more than I do this evening. It's time to decide a champion in the Cup Series. Let's get the engines cranked in South Florida.
And now, for the most famous words in motorsports, please welcome your Grand Marshal, President of Automotive for Ford Motor Company, Joseph Henricks.
All right, good afternoon, race fans. Welcome to Ford Championship Weekend at beautiful Homestead-Miami Speedway. Say it with me, drivers, start your engines!
All right, crankers ready. Fired up, fired up.
The greatest are the ones that seize the moment, and this is the biggest moment for the championship four. The title's right in front of them.
I've thought it for a long time.
Hell yeah, guys, we're going to Homestead.
I am capable of winning NASCAR's biggest prize.
We're all super competitive, right? I mean, we all want to win.
2015, we weren't a favorite. We're not a favorite this time. If we're good enough, then we'll be crowned at the end of the day.
Hell yeah, boys! Ready to go!
This year, ultimately, the experience and the grit of the team shine through.
The season-long effort and all the work has put us in the Final Four. Now we're just going to go to battle.
The battle is in front of all 40 drivers that will be out on the racetrack floor with an opportunity to win the championship. Want to take a look at the starting grid brought to you by Ford. Because there was no qualifying, rain came through the area on Friday. They decided to make Saturday all about practice. That means that the championship four line up as the top four, so they'll make up the first 2 rows. Behind them, everybody's still fighting to get a win to end the season.
Yeah, Kyle Larson in row 3, he's the driver that everybody keeps talking about in the garage. When you look at a driver other than those championship four, Jeff, it seems like Kyle Larson perhaps the favorite.
And how about William Byron? A lot of people talk about William Byron maybe being able to get his first Cup win today. A lot of speed in practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Daniel Jones in this 41 car for the last time this year. Jimmy Johnson winless all season long, trying to get a win as well.
Back here, we got Ryan Newman, Eric Jones there in the 20. Suarez again making his final start in the 41 for Stewart-Haas Racing. We don't know exactly where he'll end up next year, but such a talented driver, he's definitely going to have an opportunity. We saw the 21 there, Paul Menard, also making his final start.
Yeah, same thing. We don't know what he's going to be doing, but we know it's not going to be in a race car. He said he's done with full-time driving. We might see him a race here or there, but definitely not in the Cup Series or definitely not in a full-time capacity. Daniel Hemrick will move down to Xfinity, drive the Junior Motorsports car for some races.
There's Bubba Wallace in the 43, that Richard Petty Motorsports entry. Corey LaJoie. John Hunter Nemechek filling in for Matt Tifft. There's David Reagan. He's also making his final full-time start at the Cup Series level.
Landon Castle, top 15 in yesterday's Xfinity race. Morgan Shepherd.
A little bit deeper through the field, Reed Sorensen. Ross Chastain ran for a Truck Series championship on Friday, just fell a little bit short. Drew Herring, Josh Bilicki making up row 19, and filling out the field, B.J. McLeod and Timmy Hill. We see the cars starting to roll off of pit road. We've got a champion driver driving the pace car. So today's honorary pace car driver is Tony Stewart, the three-time Cup Series champion. Won it in 02, 05, and 11 in an epic battle. Carl Edwards back in 11. He is the co-owner of Stewart-Haas Racing. Already has 2 championships as an owner. Could add to that because Kevin Harvick is a part of the championship for today. We're going to dive into the championship for a little bit deeper. Jeff, talk to us a little bit about your driver.
Yeah, I want to talk about Kyle Busch. Many believe Kyle is the most talented driver in the sport. Has over 200 wins in NASCAR's top 3 series. Some people love him, some people hate him, but you should not question his abilities. Multiple Cup championships would validate his stature as one of the greatest. Started driving at 13. 20 years later, he can come another step closer to create the dynasty that he wants.
Another driver from the Joe Gibbs Racing stables, Martin Truex Jr. You know, he started full-time Cup racing at the age of 25, and now 14 years later, he's in a position to win his second championship. Now, the first title came in 2017, and including that season, he has been the winningest Cup driver over the 3-year span with 19 wins.
Well, Rick, how about Kevin Harvick, the 43-year-old from Bakersfield, California, is looking for his second career title. An undersized high school wrestler growing up, Kevin drives with that same fighter mentality. The fact that some in the garage and in the media consider him an underdog, in my mind, only makes him more dangerous in the championship race. Chesterfield, Virginia's Denny Hamlin feels like this is his best opportunity to championship. He turns 39 years old tomorrow and is coming off of a 2018 season which saw no trips to victory lane. It's been an amazing turnaround, though, pairing with crew chief Chris Gabehart. It's resulted in the performance and swagger that Denny always knew was possible. Now it appears the chemistry is in place for that title.
Something that's unavailable in virtually every other sport is the ability to talk to the competitors right before they're about to take on the competition. So let's start off with Kyle Busch. Let's talk to him on the radio now.
Hey, Kyle Busch, it's Dale Jr. in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, you mentioned this second championship would be huge for you. How do you get it today?
You got to be the fastest one of the 4, so hopefully we are when it matters the most. We got a long ways to go to get to that point, but play it out each and every step of the way, every lap, be focused, and execute.
All right, buddy, we appreciate you talking to us. Good luck today.
Thank you.
Right now, Kyle Busch tied for 9th all-time on the wins list with Rusty Wallace at 55 career wins. Let's check in with Martin Truex Jr.
Hey, Martin Truex Jr., this is Dale Jr. in the booth. You got us?
Yeah, buddy, I got you.
All right, man, is it good or bad to have to go through your teammates to win this championship?
I don't know that it matters, Dale, to be honest. It's, you know, I feel like you're going to have to win this race. To win this championship, we talked about that earlier, so it really doesn't matter who we're racing. We're fired up, excited. We've earned our way here. We've had a great season. It's time to cap it off.
All right, buddy. Good luck to you. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, no
Martin
problem.
said that moving over to Joe Gibbs Racing was so much easier because of friends that were there already. Todd Barrier, Wally Brown, and of course a guy who loves the nature, Jimmy Makar, his fishing buddy over there as well. All right, let's check in with our next driver.
Hey, Kevin, it's Burton in the booth, boys. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, it's you versus Joe Gibbs Racing. How do you go handle them today to get this championship?
Race ourselves, do what we do on a weekly basis, just concentrate on every lap and trying to make our car the best that we can and try to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, and hopefully our Busch Light Ford's out front.
Thanks for spending some time with us, Kevin. Good luck today.
Kevin, the only driver that's not running for a championship and racing for Joe Gibbs Racing today. All right, let's talk to the final driver.
Hey, Denny, it's Burton. You got us?
10-4.
All right, man. I just want to know what's it going to take for you to win this championship.
No mistakes.
That's a simple answer. Hard to do. Good luck, man. Good luck.
Got that shit right.
And there you have it. In the heat of the moment, you can tell that Denny Hamlin passionate about what he is about to do. I would call that dialed in.
Denny's ready to go. I think that's clear.
Well, and I think we will all look back at 2010 and say, okay, Denny probably wasn't ready. Denny sounds and has acted this weekend and really this whole season ready to win a championship. All right, let's get a few more updates before the green flag. Dave.
And Rick, let's talk about the pit crew members that will be working on these race cars today. We'll focus on one per championship driver. TJ Ford is who I'm going to talk about. 3 years ago, the Jacked Man was winning a championship with Jimmy Johnson. 2 years ago, he endured a winless season at Richard Petty Motorsports. Then last year, he landed what he calls a dream job working for Coach Gibbs and Jack Kyle Busch's car all the way to the championship four. TJ told me God gave him a competitive fighting spirit from his birth in Charlotte, North Carolina. And whether it's a board game or today's trophy dash, he'll do whatever it takes to win. Parker.
And Dave, the crew member I'd like to highlight is the rear tire changer on the 4, Daniel Smith. Just a year ago before Bristol, he was diagnosed with cancer. He had to take the rest of the season off for surgery, but he came to this track last year just to watch the team compete for the championship. He was back working at the Daytona 500 this year, but then had to do another preventative surgery. He missed 8 races this season, but now just a little over a year from that diagnosis of cancer, he's here fighting for a championship with this Ford team, Kelly.
19 crew chief Cole Pern tells me his pit crew has the advantage of experience. All 5 veterans of the sport, championships among them. Lee Cunningham, the rear tire changer, was a part of the 17 championship team, and fueler Kenneth Purcell helped Jimmy Johnson to 4 championships. They may not be the fastest, Marty, but they limit their mistakes.
Denny Hamlin's crew calls themselves the Misfits, and they hope they have their stuff together today to get the 11 to victory lane. In fact, midseason, when they thought about changes, Chris Gabehart told Denny, nope, I'm going to coach them up and make them better. Right now, they're a top 10 crew. They're hoping they can be winners at the end of the evening, Rick.
Marty, they're all fighting for one thing, but only one can win it. One championship out in front of them, and it's 400 miles away. The championship 4 making up the first 2 rows, and we expect that to be pretty much the whole race. These drivers going to be fighting for a win because it's taken a win to win the championship every single year in this format. Pace car is off. Field in the hands now of Denny Hamlin. On the outside of him, Kevin Harvick in the 4. Green flag is in the air. Stayed up in the top 3 positions. Martin Truex Jr. in the 19 has dropped back, though. He now runs in the 6th spot.
Fighting back on the outside, though, already to the very top of the racetrack. They will be racing all over this racetrack today, from that white line on the bottom all the way to the wall.
Denny Hamlin, who took the inside line on the start of the race, has fallen back, now fighting for the 2nd spot with teammate Kyle Busch. Kevin Harvick surged ahead on that outside line, used the higher line. We're going to talk about different lines around the racetrack. Right along the white line, or the apron of the racetrack. That's the fastest way around because it's the shortest. But as the tires start to wear out, Steve, they're going to find every line and every bit of traction on this track.
Yeah, here at Homestead-Miami, there's variable banking, which means the higher you climb up the corners, the more banking you have to assist your race car. That orange number 19 of Martin Truex Jr. on the bottom, the flattest area, he slides up, picks up a little of that banking on corner exit, and with that, takes over the 4th position. The side drafting between teammates. Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch has actually allowed the four to get a bit of a lead. It'll be interesting now to see that they're single file or not side drafting anymore. If those three cars can actually work their way back to the four car, try to battle for that lead.
That's one thing that all the Gibbs teams talked about. Kevin Harvick and his team, their strategy is to go out front, maybe have a little less downforce in their car, make some speed. Are they able to make that work at this racetrack? Right now, the last thing they want to see is Kevin Harvick driving away from him, because that means he may have something different that may work, especially, Steve, as this racetrack cools down and gains more grip.
It's hard to believe this is the 36th race. Yes, there's still so many questions. Homestead-Miami only once a year, Rick. These competitors have not seen it earlier in the schedule. It's shaped like different mile-and-a-halves. It's not like any other one. The grip level is different. So even the competitors, as veteran as Kevin Harvick, as veteran as Denny Hamlin, didn't know exactly what they need entering the race.
And it was interesting hearing Kevin Harvick on Countdown to Green when he was talking to Krista, Kyle, and DJ. He mentioned, you know, hey, the first run in that shortened practice, the only 50-minute practice that they had, the first run I had, we had the travels off. We were hitting the track. It wasn't right. He said, but we fixed it. We felt better. At the end of that practice, we felt like we had a very good race car, and he's showing it right now.
And he's making great use of that clean air and that lead. A couple tenths faster than Hamlin in the last lap. It's been the fastest car the past few laps. Hamlin just about to get a battle here. Kyle Busch tries to bring this on. Martin Truex Jr. back in fourth, starting to drive away a little bit from that 42 car. That last set of corners, though, I like what Kyle Larson did. We're on board with the 42 right now, the Coca-Cola onboard camera. You see him running the middle of the racetrack. He was unable to make the championship four. Went as far as he ever has in the playoffs. Made it to the round of 8. Just couldn't find a way to the championship four. As we see right here, the tight action early on. The 11 at the bottom of the racetrack. The 19 pushing him. How about the 22 drives inside the 19? That's a conversation. In years past, the non-playoff guys have seemed to give the playoff drivers or the championship four a little space. But with this rules package, it's more aggressive than ever. And you see right here, Joe Logano pushing the issue early.
Yeah, 3 wide.
Oh, man, a little contact, too.
11 of Denny Hamlin, able to take the second spot away from Kyle Busch.
Yeah, these guys on the restarts are getting such big runs from rows 3, 4, 5, and on back. You cannot give anything to these championship four if they're up there toward the front. You have to take the run that you get. You're going to get put 3 wide. You're going to get put 4 wide. That could have cost the 22 car multiple spots if he doesn't take that move, Kelly.
Dale, even though they only had 50 minutes of practice, Martin Truex Jr. said he felt like they checked all their boxes. They made 3 tire runs, doing 3 different things with the car. Still, they made changes overnight to try to get better. Lap 5, Martin said that he was tight center exit in turns 1 and 2 and on the splitter in 3 and 4. But then by lap 7, he said over the radio that the car is coming to him.
As we ride along with Martin Truex Jr. in the Bass Pro Shops Cabela's onboard camera, he looks like he's going to try to take the spot away from Kyle.
Impressive 9 laps on the tires. The 19 of Truex still able to run the bottom of the racetrack. As he slides up, the 18 of Kyle Busch will turn left, try to get a little clean air on the nose of that race car. Doesn't seem like enough to make a crossover. He'll fall in line. I feel like right now the top of the racetrack should be better. As hot as slick as it is, as it cools off as we get later into this race, that bottom groove is going to get faster. It's going to get more competitive. So if you're making time there now, you got a real shot later.
All right, well, let's talk about that. Let's see. You see Martin Truex Jr., he's running the middle of the racetrack. Look at Kevin Harvick. He's running the middle in 1 and 2. He's been running the very bottom in 3 and 4. Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin running about the same speed, but doing it in different ways. So watch Kevin Harvick. Now he's switched. Now he moved higher on the racetrack, not as high as Denny was. Let's see how this race evolves. And as tire wear starts to happen, if the top groove becomes the predominant line, as you would think it would.
Kevin Harvick, he's trying to run away, but Denny Hamlin will have nothing of that as he starts to reel in. Kevin Harvick up front. NASCAR Drive is your live race day companion. You can select up to 8 different cameras, or you can watch 4 at one time with a multi-camera view. Visit NASCAR.com/drive or download the NASCAR mobile app today. It's Monster Energy Cup Series Championship weekend and the championship on the line. Homestead-Miami Speedway. We thought that they potentially could go 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't know if they're going to stay there the whole race, but we know that they're going to be fighting for the win. Parker.
Oh, Rick, you mentioned how the practice went for Kevin Harvick and that Ford team, starting off a little off, but then getting that car far better. You know, I attribute a lot of that to how relaxed and confident this team is. I spent a bit of time with them. You can just tell they exude confidence, so much so in speaking to his crew chief, Rodney Childers. He told me last year he was super stressed out. He barely slept the night before the race, but this year he slept 9 hours and 3 minutes. How do I know that? He showed me on his smartwatch, Kelly.
Well, it was a little bit less sleep for Cole Kern, crew chief on the 19 team. He told me that it was a late night as he continued to go over notes and prep for this race. Remember, they were the first team locked into the championship 4, which gave him a couple extra weeks to work on this race car and extra resources back at Joe Gibbs Racing to prep it. Well, it looks like that work paid off. Martin Truex Jr. said it was the best they've unloaded all season long, and after falling back early, he's worked his way back up to second, Marty.
Hey, Kelly, before the race started, we saw Dale Jr. interview Michael Jordan, who's here hanging out with Denny Hamlin this weekend. Gave him a little pep talk in his bus before the race started and before Denny came out to the car. Right now, the car has been too tight for Denny and struggling, especially when his teammate Martin Truex Jr. flew by him so quickly, Dave.
Marty, the good news for Kyle Busch is his car started out really good, but it's kind of gone the wrong direction. Knows Larson's coming. There he goes to make the pass for 4th. And he said it's a little loose landing, so they have some work to do here on the M&M's Camry.
When we went to break, it was Kevin Harvick that had about a 1.2-second lead over Denny Hamlin, but now it's Martin Truex Jr. who has been the fastest car on the racetrack the past few laps.
And you see that right there. They're starting to lap cars, and that's going to create a bit of a challenge for that leader, Kevin Harvick, as he gets into that dirty air. This 19 car, though, is super fast through the middle of the corner. You see him drive up on the 4 car right through the middle of 3 and 4. Wherever the 4 car goes, Truex is going somewhere else.
He had a tremendous run, as you said. Now what's he going to do? Harvick all the way to the bottom. Truex easily to the outside, using all the racetrack. Harvick's car on the bottom is just not going to make enough speed. Truex will have him cleared going into 3.
Yeah, Truex had to lift just for a second, then back to the gas onto the outside. Drove the car in the throttle into the corner. Look at this side draft.
Look at the difference in speed as Truex runs that top line. Look how much faster he is in the middle. The speed in that top is in the middle of the corner, and then it should be even more down the straightaway because he's not binding his car up on that top the way Kevin has to do on the bottom.
20 laps into stage 1. The top has finally came in.
And that's a different perspective we saw from the Busch Light camera on board with Kevin Harvick. We saw how he now has a different perspective of this view because the 19's in front of him now.
Let's go on board. Let's see why Martin Truex Jr. is faster than Kevin Harvick. We have speeds, we have throttles, we have brakes. So here we come on the front straightaway. Look at the speeds. Martin Truex Jr. He's going to be somewhere around 170 getting into the corner. 169. Harvick's actually 171. Harvick's faster down the straightaway, but he's slower in the corner. The low-end speed is slower on Harvick's car. So Truex making better corner speed, but Harvick making better straight speed.
Let's not forget, guys, the 19 was the first car to qualify for the championship 4. A little extra time. They got that car tuned up.
And a battle building here as Kyle Larson has said he's not going to worry about the championship 4. He wants to win the race, and you see the 42 of Larson making the move. He's going to pass 2 championship 4 contenders.
So, drivers, it seems to me that the 42, though, is taking a little bit more risk, a little higher sooner in this race, right up against the fence. I think the 11 and the 4 may be faster to get up there, but they're maybe a little hesitant with so much on the line, not risking it this early.
I think we feel that way about Kevin Harvick. He's never really been one to take that risk and get right on the fence this early in the race. It's a race for a championship. Lot of race left. No need to get up there, get that car in the wall. We saw last night in the Xfinity race, just a little bit of brush with the fence and flatten the right rear tire.
See Kevin Harvick, how much he's struggling right now. He has lost a lot of speed over the last several laps. I think everybody behind him is coming really hard. Hardy.
Denny Hamlin among those that passed Harvick there for 3rd and making some lap time. And what he's done is really switch up his line here in 1 and 2. He's kind of running that 3rd lane up, not all the way to the fence, but close, and on the bottom of 3 and 4. So that's one of the things about Homestead-Miami. Line selection can gain you time, Parker.
Hey, Martin, as we watch Kevin Harvick struggle there, he just came across the radio and said way too tight inside that 4 car right now. It's just not turning. And, Junior, I think you hit the nail on the head. When that car's not perfect, it's really hard to run that wall. And the race. You just don't want to take that risk when the car's not handling well.
One thing interesting about that, Junior, is that yesterday in practice, who was the first one to get on the wall? Kevin Harvick. And in practice, he went to the wall. Like, what's going on? Kevin Harvick never does that. What he told us was that he simply wanted to go there and understand where he needed to be and how to do it. But he didn't want to do it all day long. And even as he's falling back right now, panic hasn't set in. He's still committed to running off the wall. He wants to make his car better. When he feels like he has to, then he's going to go to the wall. But right now, he knows it's a long way to go in this race.
Jeff, it's a 43-year-old race car driver with 681 starts, 400 miles. He knows in his head how long that is. Like a marathon runner. He can pace himself as well as any of them.
Dave.
Kyle Busch is still 6 seconds behind the leader, even though he's catching Kevin Harvick here, and had this to report to his team.
Get some pictures. Just ran over something with the left front headlight.
Get some pictures is what he asked. Everything that the crew could see, they looked at and said, we think we're fine. A little early drama there for Kyle Busch in the 18 car. But moving forward now toward Harvick.
And that's a real concern. They had an issue in the truck race here Friday night. One of Kyle's trucks actually ran over a fox in the race, hit a fox. So, I mean, I don't think there's any foxes out there right now, but there's real concern that if you run over something, that's one of the things. You want to be fast, you want to go up there and run well, but there is those mechanical gremlins or issues out of your control that can take you out of this race really early.
If somebody is not in the championship contention, is Kyle Larson. But I tell you what he is in contention for, and that's this race win. He is the fastest driver on the racetrack right now. Remember, he's led the most laps in 2 of the last 3 races here. Finished second here in 2016. So Kelly would not be surprised to see this guy win this race.
Yeah, when I talked to Kyle Larson's crew chief, Chad Johnson, I said, obviously, you guys always seem to be a favorite in this race. He said, I don't know why, since we've never won the thing. But he did tell me their focus this weekend was working on their takeoff speed, their short run speed. Felt like they've always been good over a longer run. But one other thing he said to me is he wasn't really sure that Kyle would necessarily need to run all the way up against the fence to find that speed. So maybe a little surprising to see just how quickly he moved up there.
Well, it's impressive how fast the 42's going. But, guys, if I'm on top of the 19 pit box, if I'm Cole Pern, the crew chief for Martin Truex Jr., I'm going to remind him that while we are going to race Kyle Larson for the race win is unnecessary. We are racing the other 3 of the championship 4. Whichever one of us gets to the start-finish line first wins the championship. It has taken a win, but if it's Kyle Larson, it won't take a win. And, guy, we are closing in with 46 laps to go in stage 1. Green flag pit stops. So much tire fall off. You slow down so much. Putting new tires on early can be a big advantage.
So, Junior, why do you not want to run against the wall this early? Here's why. Look how close Kyle Larson is. We got a long way to go in this race, and Kyle Larson is inches away from the wall. He can afford to do that.
Absolutely.
Chevrolet is not in contention to win a driver's championship, but they want to win this race. Kyle Larson, he's just not going to worry about the risk he's taking.
And it's fun. Remember now, he enjoys this, and I enjoy this. So I know exactly why he's up there doing it, because it's going to create all this speed, and it's a lot of fun to do. Cars on pit road, starting that pit cycle early.
And we're seeing the 18 and the 4. They're both coming to pit road now. Dave.
Kyle Busch will lead it down pit road. Remember, his crew struggled last year in the early parts of the race, recovered in the latter parts of the race. Green flag pit stops. They need a good, solid start here. Cars exiting pit road. Kyle weaving his way in, now hitting his marks perfectly. Around to the right side, 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Parker.
Kevin Harvick, who fell back to 5th place there from the lead. He came across radio just before that pit and said the car won't even turn up high, and then he doesn't have the rear grille either. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel and the air pressure adjustment for the 4 car.
Steve, early for these guys? I mean, they've only been out there for 37 laps.
Yeah, well, they know stage 1 is 80 laps long. They're split it, I'll call it almost in half. 40 would be in half, but Marty, they just cannot afford to let their competitors put on new tires earlier.
Yeah, move, counter move, right, Steve? When you see those new tires going on the other championship 4, you've got to come to pit road. Chris Gabehart asked Denny Hamlin, how much freer do you want to be? The car's been tight, like we talked about. Denny said a little bit, especially early in the run. So you see that wedge adjustment being made. Denny also said before the race to Jeff Burton, we cannot have mistakes today. That includes the pit crew, some tape on the grill as well, Kelly.
The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. has also been called to pit road. He has now led 17 laps in this race, and while he started on the splitter and pretty tight, he said the car was coming to him, although definitely some of that tightness remained throughout that run. It's going to be
comes off. Now all championship 4 drivers have been to pit road and had service done.
As we see the 19, one other thing these drivers are going to have to face. Look, he's not on the racetrack. He's on an access road. It can be very low on grip. The 19 did a very nice job. Going to be on and off pit road. As we look down the backstretch, we don't see the 18 of Kyle Busch anywhere in sight. So I think the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. will keep the lead through the green flag cycle, guys.
You mentioned that pit exit. That is really difficult. It's so slick. It's so flat. But it matters. Making lap time through there, getting to the back straightaway as quickly as you can, that's the same as having a good pit stop or a bad pit stop. You have to do that well.
17 hasn't been to pit road yet, and so right now scored as the race leader. Once Ricky Stenhouse Jr. comes to pit road, it will be back into the hands of Martin Truex Jr., who was the first of the championship 4 to get off of pit road. All of the championship 4 teams executing perfectly. 36 laps to go in stage 1. The NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Ford EcoBoost 400 from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Today's aerial coverage presented by Coca-Cola, and a gorgeous day here in South Florida as a champion to be determined. Martin Truex Jr. still out front. Larson running second. It's Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin running 5th.
I think the first challenge of the day, and all these drivers are going to have challenges. We heard Denny Hamlin when we interviewed him. He was very clear, no mistakes. Right now, they pitted. They've lost a couple of spots, but on top of that, the biggest issue is they're slower. After they pitted and made some changes, they do not have the speed of the other 3 championship contenders.
Yeah, the new tire adjustments have not helped the 11. Pitting a lap after the 18 and the Ford did not help the 11. That cost them time on the racetrack. The pit stop wasn't bad, but it was just average. Average, I don't think is going to be good enough today, guys. This is a heavyweight battle, right? We continue to say all weekend, these are the 4 best. They deserve to be here. Well, unfortunately for the 11, nothing wrong, Rick, just nothing great.
And he has that number 1 pit stall because of the way they were ranked coming in to this race and no qualifying. So he had the best pit stall available, which is an advantage. And right now, Denny Hamlin running that high line. Not right up against the wall, but about a lane away.
A couple cars have yet to go to pit road. One is the 38 of David Reagan. The theory is to stay out because he was a lap down. Currently 12th on old tires, doing the best. And, you know, kind of bittersweet for David Reagan. Yeah. Been in the series for so long, announced that, hey, this is going to be my last full-time season as a driver. Just a great person who does great things. Nominated for the Comcast Community Award. Just, you know, a great person throughout the garage area. He'll be missed for sure. 2
wins in his career. The most recent was at Talladega. He was very good at super speedway racing. You mentioned one driver stepping away. Also, Paul Menard in the 21. He also is going to step aside from full-time racing at the Cup level. But he mentioned to me a couple weeks ago, he said, I'm not getting away from racing. I'm still going to race. He said, I still have that competitive edge. I want to be out there competing. He said, I'm just not going to do it at the Cup level anymore.
It's interesting, you know, drivers making their own decisions. They decided to step out before the sport. I think that's what everybody wants to do as a professional athlete. Try to kind of set your own terms. We see the 11 of Denny Hamlin still running in 5th. Marty?
Hey, Steve, you know this all too well, how athletic these pit crews are. And Ed Watkins is a longtime veteran gas man here on pit road. He was a 4-year starter for East Carolina as the center when they were a top 25 football team back in the mid-'80s. And I tell you what, he's one of the best here on pit road when it comes to being a gas man. Even the gas man, Steve, right, has to be athletic when you're pitting these race cars.
Oh, they all have to be athletes. And Rick, we talk about the choreography and just how impressive these pit crews are. The months of training in the weight room, the months of training on the pit stop, and this just amazes you. As the Jackman comes around, look how close he gets to this front tire changer. This is really kind of like a dance,
yeah,
right? A choreographed dance.
They've choreographed this to where he was within inches of his leg as he goes to hit those lug nuts, and they're doing this all within about 11 seconds.
It's really amazing. Remember, it used to be 7 pit crew guys years ago. Then they went to 6. Now they're down to 5. Yet the pit stop's not going any slower. No. Just shows how, you know, innovative these teams are.
And these pit crew members are former college football players, college wrestlers, baseball players, all athletes.
We're right on board Denny Hamlin, the Coca-Cola onboard camera, looking back on him in his seat. Still got that dark tint on the visor. You see the little orange tab on the side of his visor? When the sun sets, that's like a tear-off. He's just going to reach over, pull that thing off. He's going to go from a dark visor to a clear visor, prepped and ready to go.
Guys moving forward, one of the non-playoff guys, Jimmy Johnson, talked about it earlier before the race started that he has not won this year, trying to get at least one win this season. He's moved up 8 spots since the start of the race, now riding in the 8th position, trying to challenge Zagato for that 7th place. Riding along the Ford Performance Cam on the tailpiece of this 22 car.
Jimmy Johnson, 7-time champion. The pride that he has, the pride that Hendrick Motorsports have, he's got to get in victory lane. It's just breaking his heart that he can't get there. Says he's committed to doing it. Seems like he's working hard. They just have not found a way over the last couple of years really to perform the way you expect.
Yeah,
this being so accustomed to see him run.
For sure, but look how competitive this car looks. Racing against this 22. Joey really proud of his car, but Jimmy going to take that spot away.
And guys, a lot of talk was with Jimmy Johnson about retiring. When will you retire? And when Ally signed back up and said, hey, we want to come back, Jimmy said, hey, I'm back too. I want to end my career on a high note. I don't want to be on a longest losing streak that I've ever been on. I want to end it on a high note. So that's why Jimmy Johnson is going to stick with this until, and we know he's competitive, stick with this until he is back at that level again. Martin Truex Jr. right now has a 4.5-second lead over Kyle Larson, running second here in Miami. And NASCAR Champions Week, it is going to Nashville, Tennessee. Now, you could be a part of the celebration in Music City. Join NASCAR December 3rd through the 5th. Just visit championsweek.nascar.com for all of the details. Right now, the biggest detail that Martin Truex Jr. is dealing with is putting cars a lap down. He has already now lapped the 19th car, which is Alex Bowman. And Daniel Suarez is the last car on the lead lap running in the 18th position. Kelly.
And while he's working his way through lap traffic, Martin Truex Jr. has now opened up a more than 5-second lead over Kyle Larson. Once all those pit stops cycle 30 regained the lead, here's what his crew chief Cole Pern told him.
That's no harder than you have to. They got a pretty big lead. We can hold them on the pit cycle there. No harder than you need.
And after getting a little tape on the grill, Martin said his car fired off really good. Dave, now he's just trying to get back in that rhythm.
Crew Chief Adam Stevens couldn't tell me enough times how glad he was to have his main guy, Tyler Allen, engineer on the 18 crew, back this weekend. Tyler and his wife had their first son, Riley, a couple of weeks ago, and he's missed 2 races. Adam said when Tyler's here, he's ingrained in the 18 team, and things just go a little bit smoother. Here's what the driver of the 18 just told Tyler and the crew.
Car so far is much better. Balance better. Just needs speed, I guess.
So the challenges still exist for Tyler Allen, Adam Stevens, and the whole crew. Need a little more speed out of the 18, Parker.
Dave, through stage 1, Kevin Harvick has fallen from the lead back to 5th and gotten to 4th through the pit. The green flag cycle there, but recently had this to say on the radio.
The biggest problem I have is I can't turn into turn 1. Just shove the nose on entry.
He then added that it also will not turn on the bottom. And I know this might not look great now, but for fans of Kevin Harvick, keep your eye on this car as this track changes and the sun goes away and we go into nighttime. This team has been great when the grip level goes up. And I think right now, if they can stay in touch with those other competitors out there, they'll be great when the nighttime comes.
So that is an interesting report on the 19 and the quote of don't go harder than you have to. I think that can be a couple different things. Not only do I not want you to burn your tires off and push too much, but also maybe run a little lower on the racetrack. If you feel your car is better up by the wall, that could be code. That would be a code I would use to tell Dale Jr., hey man, your lap times are good, Junior, but I don't need you up to the wall quite yet. Give yourself a little bit of space so we don't have a mistake, have damage early.
You guys talking code? Is that what I'm hearing now?
Well, when your driver was the most popular driver in NASCAR, I did it more than anyway so the fans wouldn't yell at me.
Okay.
It wasn't for the competitors. It was more for the fans.
And right against the wall is the 9 of Chase Elliott. The problem is Chase Elliott is about to go a lap down, because right now he has a mirror full of Martin Truex Jr.
I would be willing to say an awful playoffs for the 9-car Chase Elliott and that team. Just nothing went well. It's so hard to bring the same amount of energy and enthusiasm to this race as the guys that are racing in a championship, especially after all the heartbreak that team went through, not transferring. So if you're a Chase Elliott fan, I wouldn't give up on this team for next year. I think they're going to be much better. They'll be a contender.
3 wins this year. Led the Hendrick Motorsports brigade, but as you mentioned, the playoffs did not sit well with the 9-team or Chase Elliott.
His teammate William Byron has had an awesome season too. He's out there running in 10th place right now with his 24 Exalta Chevrolet. And he, if everything goes well this afternoon, will be the highest finishing Hendrick driver in points. I don't know that we all thought that was possible for William.
Look at the improvement. 2019 average finish of 14.2. 2018 22.1. That's improvement. That's what you want to see from a young driver.
And remind the fans, first year with working with veteran crew chief Chad Canals. William Byron had 1 year in truck, 1 year in Xfinity, 1 year in Cup with Darian Grubb, now 1 year with Chad Canals. If I were a Hendrick or an executive at Hendrick Motorsports, it's going to be about consistency to just try to move his career forward. I'm putting my arm around Chad and say, hey, buddy, can you give me at least a couple more years with this young driver?
And it sounds to me, think about Hendrick Motorsports, right? They lost a lot of veteran drivers. I understand Jimmy Johnson's still there, but they're almost like a football team that's just reloading, bringing in a lot of talent. It's going to take a little bit of time to develop that talent.
And he's just 21 years old, so he's got a lot of time in front of him. Out front, Martin Truex Jr. still leading here at Homestead-Miami. And welcome back to Homestead-Miami Speedway. Martin Truex Jr. still out front, has a 6.2-second lead over Kyle Larson, one of the non-championship 4 competitors. He's running second. Then it's Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, and Denny Hamlin. But right now, Denny Hamlin is 16 seconds behind Martin Truex Jr. Marty.
Rick, they've been struggling with the handling on the race car. In fact, a moment ago, Denny asked Chris Gabehart, his crew chief, on the radio. He said, go back and look at the data and tell me what I'm missing. And then they studied it. You see Sam McCauley on the far right there, one of the engineers on the team, and Chris Gabehart to his right. And they looked at the last 3 or 4 laps and kind of told Denny where he was missing in the corner, where people were getting back to the gas, maybe sooner than him. You know, Steve, it's a very intriguing conversation with all the data available to teams right now. How much does the game change for crew chiefs like Chris Gabehart on top of the pit box?
Well, it can be information overload if you're not prepared to use it. You see a close call there with a 95 to 77 on corner entry right in front of Denny Hamlin. But basically, these teams have access to see the driver inputs, steering wheel, throttle, brake of all of the competitors on the racetrack. So engineers, as well as Chris Gabehart, can analyze what the 11 is doing, compare it to the 18, the 19, the 42. That can be done here at the racetrack. Rick, these teams have people all the way back in Charlotte, North Carolina, in war rooms, sitting around, digging through the data, communicating to the pit box, letting them know how to help coach their driver through these races.
Engineers trying to get every 10th of a second, even every 100th of a second out of these cars. And how about the 95 and Matt DiBenedetto, and what a season he has had. He will be making the move to Wood Brothers Racing in 2020. But it's very impressive. I think probably the exclamation point on the season was the second place run at Bristol, that night race.
What was really cool is that Paul Menard, who's moving out of that car for the Wood Brothers, actually is the one that mentioned to the Wood Brothers, this is the guy that I think you should go out and get. When they actually went to Paul and said, hey, Paul, you're leaving. Who should we go look for? And they said, Matt DiBenedetto, Paul Menard. Man, that's doing a solid. You're stepping out of the way. You're going to help another guy get in, get that opportunity. I think all of us want to see Matt get a great opportunity, and he's going to have it next year. This 95 car, an amazing opportunity. But that is part of the process, going to the Wood Brothers next year.
And Judah, that opportunity in the 95, of course, will be for Christopher Bell and crew chief Jason Ratcliffe coming up from the Xfinity Series. Some wonder where that would leave crew chief Mike Wheeler. Wheeler told me this morning, we're going to keep a lot of this group together and me working with them. Why? I know these race cars. Jason Ratcliffe knows Christopher Bell. Together, we're going to be stronger next year with a much tighter alliance with JGR.
Great opportunity for Christopher Bell to be able to move into this into this 95 car with a familiar face. He and his crew chief have done very, very well in the Xfinity Series. Being able to move together, I think that's very comforting to Christopher. I know it is. He told me how excited he is to continue that development of his career with his crew chief. It'll be fun to see this 95 as they strengthen their relationship with Joe Gibbs Racing, bring in Christopher Bell, what they can become next year.
Martin Truex Jr. is trying to lap his teammate. I don't know what's going on, but he was up beside this 20 car of Eric Jones. Just came out of the gas and let Eric go on here. I don't know if he's just trying not to lap Eric or what.
Eric Jones currently running in the 13th spot. And Marty mentioned in the pre-race, this is the best they have ever unloaded, meaning coming off of the truck. But again, Steve, you mentioned when they won Martinsville, they turned their focus to this race right here.
They did, and if you needed to unload good in a race, this was one of them. Remember, rain shortened it all. They were supposed to have 2 practices on Friday. They only got 50 minutes on Saturday. The crew chief said, Denny Hamlin told us that would be the most important practice of the season. So if you're going to be good, you want it to be in that one with only 1 lap to go in stage 1. Lap all the way up to the 14th position. Eric Jones, hand out the window. I think the 19 is going to be nice to his teammate and allow him to stay on the lead lap here.
First 20 laps of this stage were led by Kevin Harvick, and you would say that he probably has a short run type of setup under that car. Well, Martin Truex Jr. has been the dominant one. 58 laps led. This is lap 59. He'll win stage 1 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. The only other driver to lead a lap in stage 1 was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Stayed out for a lap while all of the green flag pit stops were cycled through. But a dominant performance early on, setting the stage potentially for a second championship. Pit stops after the break. NASCAR on NBC is brought to you by the Ford F-150. Built Ford tough. Well, it's no secret we all love cars, especially cars that are game changers. As we speak, Ford is preparing to reveal something all new in Los Angeles. What this vehicle actually is has been a well-kept secret, and it's going to remain a secret until later this evening, but there are a few things that I can tell you about. It's the newest member of the Mustang family. It's called the Mustang Mach-E, and it's an all-electric SUV. You can watch the reveal live tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. Go to Ford.com for details. Pit stop's about ready to get underway. And right now, there are 13 cars on the lead lap, Dave, coming at you.
Kyle Busch said that by lap 20, the looseness in his race car stabilizes, but he'd like a little bit more turn anyway, and then a little bit of help on the exit for that. As his crew goes to work, they'll change 4 Goodyear tires and put in Sunoco fuel. Probably air pressure adjustment only, Marty.
For Kevin Harvick, who's going to pit out of the 3rd place position right there. He's been struggling to be too tight on the entry and then lacking the rear grip on exits. Going to be 4 Goodyear tires and an adjustment there, Kelly.
Martin Truex Jr. had such a big lead. The team was telling him to take it easy. He's happy with the car, just needs a windshield tear-off to help with the setting sun, Marty.
Denny Hamlin's been struggling with the car being too tight in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but they're not making a big change, and he'll gain a spot here because they think the track will loosen up, Rick.
Saw the race off pit road, brought to you by Kroger. Martin Truex Jr. stays up front. Kyle Busch gained a spot. Larson lost one.
Take it to the left now and dip with it, don't throw down.
Stage 1 complete of the NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Ford EcoBoost 400. Rutledge Wood.
Rick, there is a party in this infield of the lake. We're over here right next to that beach. They sold 500 spots to this. Ally Bank decided to throw a party. And take a look. Jimmy Johnson came out here this morning. 500 people were over here, 250 of them college students. Jimmy Johnson said, well, I got to swing by if the Ally friends are there. They got sand sculptures. There's stand-up paddleboarding. There's kayaking. They got a DJ going. People have been having a great time out here. I've seen the Ralph and Rally a couple times, which was impressive. I didn't know I was going to see that. And Keelan Harvick is on the other bank. He's got 4 fish in the time that we've been here. That may be an indication of what's going to happen with Kevin Harvick today, you guys.
Well, anytime Keelan has set the tire pressure for the Ford team this year, he's ended up in victory lane. Let me see. Looks like a Kevin Harvick fan. Is that Keelan that's down there?
I think that's
doing a little fishing. Sure enough.
Keelan fishing for some bait in the bucket, it looks like to me.
Yeah.
Imagine a conversation if Kevin wins. Hey, I won a championship. I caught 6 fish.
Keelan enjoyed a little fishing while Dad's out working on the racetrack. Field approaching the Geico restart zone. It will be Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch. It was a close race off of pit road. And now as they go through the Geico restart zone, back up through the gears. Little shove from the 42, gets the 18 out in front. Now can he stay there?
Yeah, I think he's clear of 19 car. He got a good shove by the 42 of Larson. Larson down low.
Remember the start of this race? The 19 car, Martin Truex, lost a lot of spots.
Everybody hugging down the lower part of the racetrack now, the faster part. As a big run by the 19. What's he going to do with it?
Look for the bottom of the racetrack. Trying to get that left side. Wow. Oh, goodness, he carries so much speed into the corner.
Power move.
I think that surprised Kyle.
It's not even about just getting to the apron or getting to the bottom of the corner and stand there. You just drive in there and power up. Drive into the gas. Drive the car across the racetrack. Take that guy's line. As soon as you cross his wake, he has to lift.
And that's demoralizing for Kyle Busch. He just took the lead, and then Truex just grabbed it right back. As you said, a power move.
Truex has talked about it, how he's had to learn to drive these cars with these spoilers on the back. I mean, as soon as you put that spoiler in front of somebody, they have to come out of the gas.
Big move there by the 42 of Kyle Larson. He's taken the spot away from Kyle Busch. As we see now, Ryan Blaney in the 12 trying to get by the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
Blaney was squeezed big time by Hamlin getting into the corner. See Ryan Newman on pit road.
Looks like they were trying to tighten the lugs on the left rear there, Steve.
Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. Maybe a loose wheel. Was on the lead lap up until this issue right here. This will put him a lap down, the extra trip to pit road. And see the 11 of Hamlin climbing the banking on the outside of his teammate Jones. And here's the 42. We talked, Rick. When he made the round of 8, everyone pointed to the 42 as the favorite if he could make Miami. We were talking to Kyle Busch. We said, well, who are you racing? Who are you glad's not in it? And he didn't even come up with a thought. He said, well, if Kyle Larson was here, and he paused and he just had a real big stare like, well, I'm just glad he's not. I'm glad he's not racing for a championship.
This is what's most impressive about Kyle Larson. We usually think about him having to wait for the long run to be able to get to the top and make that speed up high. He's making speed on the short run on the bottom. That's a Kyle Larson we rarely see.
And will that come in to be an advantage for him later in a run when we know he's comfortable running up against the wall?
Kevin Harvick has that short run speed. Be interested to see if they made the changes to that car. We saw early in the race, Kevin drove away from everybody, but then started falling back and just wasn't as good. Right now, keeping pace. What will this car do on the long run? And Steve, look at all those shadows. Turns 1 and 2 is completely shaded right now. That corner's going through a change, cooling down. 3 and 4 where they're driving it right now. It hasn't done that yet, but this track will change a great deal.
I actually think this is the toughest time of day to run this race because of the shade in one end and the sun in the other. When the sun completely sets, both ends kind of change similarly. But right now, with 1 and 2 being in the shade, I expect that end to turn a little bit more. Parker, 3 and 4 in the sun, probably a little snug.
No doubt, and Jeff, I think you really hit it there. Take a listen to what Kevin Harvick said under the caution of stage 1.
Just got to be really careful how much we loosen this thing up here. Because I'm telling you, once it gets dark, the racetrack's going to come back around.
And
And he finished it there by saying it's going to come back our way. This Ford car loves when the grip level goes up, and I think that shadow coming into turn 1 is really playing their hands, Marty.
In the same exact conversation on the 11 radio, Parker, they talked about the racetrack changing. They were afraid to make a big change on that last stop. Chris Gabehart noted how the track is changing. Here's what he had to say.
1 and 2 is pretty much shaded. I think 3 and 4 is the ones that are going to go through the majority of change. Be thinking about that.
So on that stop, they decided not to make a big change. Since then, Steve Hamlin saying his car is, quote, tight and slow, and wondering if the splitter was on the ground. He's gone backwards. 3-wide battle there for second, guys.
Well, how about the push that the 4 of Harvick gave the 18? He got right to his back bumper, didn't try to make the pass, actually made some contact.
He'll push down the back straightaway. I think he wanted to go to the top. That's where he made the momentum to get to the 18. 18 was covering the top, so a little bit of a push down the back straightaway, then turned and got him on the left side.
Harvick took the spot away. Now the crossover move. Here comes the 18 back again.
Down into turn 3, the 18 Kyle Busch to the inside of the 4 car. He's clear right now, but he cannot come up the racetrack. The 42 against the fence. Going to come up in front of this 4 car. Harvick back to the inside now, down the front straightaway, side by side at the flag stand.
And look at this, Kevin Harvick not wanting to fall back behind that 18. He goes to the bottom of the racetrack, trying to get in front, but here comes the momentum out of the 18 and Kyle Busch.
Kyle's got to run again, back to the inside, down the back straightaway. This is fun to watch. I know these guys want to settle this position, but Larson's not going anywhere.
And that car being up there, Larson's car being right there, that's hurting Harvick. That's taking the air off of his car. Now Kyle Busch had a decision to make. Didn't pull up in front of Kevin Harvick. Too early for that. Harvick had to run. Now what's Busch going to do? It's kind of a guessing game. Not real sure where the car in front of you is going to go. You got to go wherever they're not in the corners. Here we go. We see that short run speed from Kevin Harvick.
First segment.
And he had that short run speed early in the race. Hopefully they've made the adjustments he needs on that car to maintain speed throughout the run.
And everybody we talked to this morning in the garage, the other Gibbs cars, he talked about Kevin Harvick and how loose he looked.
How blinding that is down the front straightaway. You're seeing the same thing on the windshield, the Monster Energy Cam on the roof of the 18 car. Then when you go into the turn and get behind that banking and get behind the grandstands, the sun goes away, you can see all of a sudden. I'm telling you, the windshields are so pitted with debris that windshield's impossible to see out of down the front straightaway during this particular part of the race where the sun is setting. It's about a 30 to 45 minute period where you literally cannot see the corner as you're driving down the straightaway.
Well, as we watch this battle between 2 of the championship 4, the third one, the 19 of Truex is leading. That leaves 1 left. The 11 car of Denny Hamlin up the racetrack. The 48's on the outside. Guys, I have some concern about the 11. He's back in the 7th position. His lap times do not look very good. He's trying to defend against Austin Dillon. 62 laps to go in this stage, Rick. The leaders will be coming quick.
Earlier in playoffs, 48 said, I'm not going to race him different. No one's been able to run with Martin Truex Jr. in this race up to this point. 81 laps led already, Kelly.
And Rick, we talk about the challenges of this setting sun on track. Well, Martin hasn't said anything about that, but it certainly posed an issue for him last time he came down pit road. Have a listen.
It's hard to see anything coming down pit road. Yeah, I said looking left, and I realized you weren't looking left.
Remember, Martin had asked for a windshield tear-off to kind of help with that setting sun, but David sounds like he's not the only one having issues.
Oh, that's true, and Kyle Busch almost had an issue there, passing Kevin Harvick and having a lap car there. That was tight. But coming down pit road, this is Kyle's view. Look at that glare there. Now, Kyle amazingly hit his marks perfectly here in his pit box, but the issue was his team told him, you almost crossed over 4 pit boxes. If you do that entering or exiting, Steve, that's a penalty.
That is a penalty. You can't have mistakes. The field is too tough. We've talked about this. What about this battle, guys? They have been going tooth and nail, lap after lap. Someone goes to the bottom. They slide up in front of the other one, and then the 18 comes back attacking the 4 the whole time. I think the 42's just right there looking at his mirror with a smile.
Enjoying it.
Not a part of it.
They've traded positions probably 5 times in the last 6 laps. Been a lot of fun to watch. They both caught Kyle Larson. Kyle seems to be holding him up a little bit. Whoever gets to him just gets slow, and the other guy goes to the other lane and then makes the pass.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think Larson's the one creating this battle between Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick. Kyle Busch the fastest car on the track that last lap, but he can't get by this 42 car. He's got to change his line, maybe not even run the line he wants to, and that allows that 4 car to get runs periodically.
On the wall, full.
Right there, he's not going to get off the corner. That's going to bring the 4 back into the picture here.
And so right now, Kevin Harvick's got to guess. Where's the 18 going to go?
Trying to back up a little bit. This 4 run a little
The
gap
18
on
goes to
him.
the top. The 4 went to the top. He just guessed wrong. He was hoping he was going to go to the bottom, so he'd have the top clean.
Well, you guys keep talking about the guessing. I'd like to listen into the 18. Listen to a spotter, Tony Hirschman, what type of information Kyle Busch is getting about the 42 and the 4.
18, bottom.
Pretty quiet when the 4 is not right off his rear bumper there.
Good for both these. Inching away, almost 6.
Almost 6, that's information.
Clear.
Giving the 18 how far back the 4 is so he knows what kind of run he can make on the 42.
Shoot 42. Clear. Outside full. Quarter. Clear right now. 2 to wall. 2, 2, 2. Clear high. Use it, use it, use it, use it, use it. 1. Little mo. Half. On. Quarter.
How about that information? 2, 2, 2. That 2 car lengths back, 2 car lengths back clears him, and then he says he's on you, on your rear bumper. A great picture being painted by the spotter for Kyle Busch.
And Steve, it was interesting listening to Kyle. We sat down with him and talked to him about this championship, and he made a comment, and I think we just saw it right there. He made a comment to us. He said, I've been watching video, and I've been watching lines from past races here, and those are what I'm going to try to bring to this race. He said, but I'm not going to tell you what video I was watching.
So, Rick, you're going to laugh, but listening to that spotter, that brought me back to the pit box. That's how I've watched races my entire life. You know, if you're not the car being focused on television, if you're one of the other 39 cars out there, I knew if we were going forward or going backward just by TJ Majors, by his tone, by his information. I could literally close my eyes, listen to a spotter, and know what kind of race that car's having. That was such great information. And yet Kyle wouldn't tell us. We asked him, he would not tell us about that video. Mark.
Hey, Steve, meanwhile, we're about 5 or 6 laps from pit stops, and Denny Hamlin is the furthest back any of the championship 4 drivers have been all day long. He's sitting in 7th. Lap times are getting a little bit better, but he said the car was, quote, tight and slow. Now, Chris Gabehart did not make a big change last time when they came down pit road because it's what Kevin Harvick talked about. They're worried about the track changing. So, Steve, what is that balance for a crew chief as we approach green flag stops of maybe guessing what your car needs, but also not overshooting what the track is going to change to?
Well, the issue is, listen, the championship will be paid on the final lap of the race. But you better be on the lead lap when that final stage starts. You look at Denny Hamlin being attacked by the 3 of Austin Dillon for the 7th position. 9 seconds behind, 50 laps to go in the stage. I think he's okay. I don't think they want to panic, but I'm sure there was a moment where Gabehart was thinking, man, I wish I'd have freed it up just a little so he could have stayed in contact with the leaders.
And what a great job by Austin Dillon. He's ran his car up in the top 10. Legitimate speed out of this 3 car. Tyler Reddick going to this team next year, a champion in Xfinity Series from last night. This team has real legitimate speed today. Could be a great season for them next year. I know they're all excited about it.
The championship 4, one of them's been up front almost all the race. Denny Hamlin has been chasing after Kevin Harvick. A great battle between Harvick and Kyle Busch. Martin Truex Jr., he's been out front. Still up front, he's led 94 laps. Martin Truex Jr. has a 2.1-second lead over Kyle Busch, but here comes the 18 of Busch.
And what the 18 of Kyle Busch has done at closing that gap down to 2 seconds is he's within striking distance on green flag pit stops. Remember last time the 19 had such a big lead over the field that he could run a few extra laps. He could be, I won't say conservative, but a little safer to pit road. Not this time. You see the 19 right there with only 2 cars behind him, that yellow M&M's car of Kyle Busch. He is notoriously the absolute best on green flag pit stops. His pit crew has already proven that they're very good, and here you go. The 11 of Denny Hamlin running 4th of the championship 4. Big call by the rookie crew chief. Chris Gabehart brings his car to pit road first. Marty.
Steve, you got to learn lessons, right? Chris Gabehart was jumped by a lap by everybody else in stage 1 for green flag stop. So this time, he's the first of the championship 4 to come to pit road. When Denny came to pit road, he was 10 seconds behind his teammate Martin Truex Jr. Again, the car had been too tight for Hamlin. Gonna get a fresh water bottle for him. Make it air pressure and a wedge adjustment, much bigger wedge adjustment that time for the 11 crew. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, which are so valuable and equal track time. 13.4 on the stop, Kelly.
Kyle Larson in that 42 car has also made his way to pit road. He said he's fast, but then that 19 is ridiculously fast. He said he's just a little bit too tight getting off the turns.
As he leaves his pit stall, it looks as though now Kyle Busch and Kevin Harvick are making their way to pit road.
Both those guys on pit road before Martin Truex Jr. Martin's still on the track, giving up time here.
18 to the 4 coming at you, Parker.
And for Kevin Harvick, he came across the radio just recently and said it's better, but it still needs to turn better. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for the 4-car and air pressure adjustment, Dave.
1 lap later than the 11 for the 18. He will get 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Looks like they were going to try to reapply a piece of tape. Yes, there on the front of the car to keep the engine temperatures optimal. Kyle leaves another fast pit stop by the 18 team.
Martin Truex Jr. on pit road now.
And
As
soon as they saw the 18 and 4 come to pit road, Cole Pern called Martin Truex Jr. as well. He seemed pretty happy with his 19 car, but he said since making that stop at the stage break, he's been a little bit tighter this time around. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires for Truex.
As you see the 19 changing left side tires, the 18 of Kyle Busch has already come to pit road. He's exiting turn 4. The 19's going to leave. He's going to use that access road on the left-hand side of your screen. Here comes the 18 of Kyle Busch, 5 car lengths behind the 42 of Kyle Larson. The 18 should cycle the race leader if he can beat the 19 off pit road. The 18's at speed. The 19's going to blend. Let's see. It's going to be close because the 18's going to have the momentum coming right at you. It looks to me like the 18 will pass him. He will take the race lead at Miami through pit cycle.
And what a job by that team. Burton, you mentioned it earlier. It's the little things that you've got to do right. Every pit stop, every time you get on and off pit road, you've got to do it perfectly. They've done the little things right. Now the 18 is out front, Kelly.
An issue for Martin Truex Jr. He immediately said something is wrong, and now Cole Pern said we have the tires switched. They messed it up on pit road. It's the right front and left front that are switched on the 19 car, so they've had to immediately call him back to pit road. This is a costly mistake for this 19 team, and one of the things that Cole Pern had been so proud about this pit crew is he said when they make mistakes, they're little. They haven't made any disastrous mistakes. Well, this is going to be a costly one.
A mental error. Inexcusable. You cannot switch the tires 36 races into a season. The small things a crew chief should not have to worry about. You have tire specialists, tire carriers, tire changers. These are the mistakes that can cost you a championship. The 19 team making an extra stop on pit road, put 4 tires on it. The dominant car. 98 laps led today, and here it is. You see Cole Pern doing all he can do, reacting, coaching, leading, bringing his team to pit road. Nothing he can do now, though, but just watch as his car loses time.
Now, Steve explained to us why that even matters, that tires are different from right to left.
Yeah, so the right side tire is much more durable, has much more air pressure. It's meant to run on the outside of the car through these corners. The inside, more grip, less air pressure. You cannot run that out. If you put the left front tire on the right front, it will fail. It will not make laps on that side of the car. A huge error by the 19.
Will this be a 1 lap down error, or will he be 2 laps down after this?
He should only be 1 because of his position on the racetrack. We'll have to see when it all cycles back around, but simply just an unforced error. Mistakes happen. Listen, I've made them. Everyone has made them in their career, but this is the biggest stage. If you want to be a champion, these are the 4 biggest. We talk about it. The 4 best teams, the 4 best drivers. This is the type of mistake. The 19 was so proud of their pit crew after Martinsville. Cole Pern told me it was such a smooth day. Pit stops were outstanding. This wasn't even a pit stop mistake as much as an execution mistake.
He's a lap down now, running in the 13th position. The first car a lap down. The first car a lap down, if a caution comes out, gets the free pass. They get to be back on the lead lap. But right now, Martin Truex Jr. hoping that Kyle Busch doesn't put another car a lap down.
The one advantage Martin Truex Jr. had is he was so good early. There are only 13 cars in lead lap. So if he can get back on there, he has time to recover. But how hard will he abuse his car? How much will he push it? And can they stay on top of the adjustments?
What did Denny Hamlin say? We interviewed him before the race. You have to have a race without mistakes.
Yep.
He said it. We just saw it right there. There's time to recover. but you're racing the very best today. You can't spot the very best anything at all.
Still 35 laps to go. Dejected 19 crew after a big mistake. You're watching NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Ford EcoBoost 400 Homestead-Miami Speedway. And a reminder, Hot Pass on NBCSN right now, ISOing the 4 different championship Ford drivers. Lee Diffie, Dale Jarrett helping you with that. Today's aerial coverage presented by Coca-Cola.
Rick, I'm just standing here gutted for Cole Pern. I've sat on those pit boxes, and we talked about it at the top of the show. You know, you lead your team, and it's all about coaching and preparing, and you try to have every position, checks and balances, no one job left to only one person. The tire guy should be trying to make sure the tire's in the right position. The pit crew should confirm it. You see Cole Pern climb down off the pit box. How did this happen? What did we do? More importantly, as frustrated as you are, it can't happen again. Have we already put some sort of resolution? I'm sure they have. But I feel for Cole Pern with everything he has to work on as the crew chief, the setup, the strategy, the driver's preparedness, the pit crew. Tires going on the wrong side of the car would have never crossed my mind in the last race of the season.
And Steve, this is when, though, he's got to be a leader. This is when Martin Truex has to be a leader. This is when everybody on that team has to rally together. Clayton Hughes, the spotter. Listen, it's 135 laps to go. Let's focus one thing at a time. Let's get our lap back. Let's do that first. Once we get that done, then try to get positions. It's one step at a time. You're not going to make it all happen at once. No stage points today. It's just where you finish. They need to focus on that, and I think that's where their relationship, how well he and Cole Pern work together, that's where they're going to trust each other. They can still win this championship. It's not over, but they're going to have a process and not panic.
It's not over, and I will say, as much as the mistake is hard to swallow, what a great job of knowing right away. I don't know how you would know right away, right? Like,
I'll tell you one thing, the driver knew it because I've actually tested here at Homestead back in 1999. On the second day, we got the tires mixed up, the left and the rights. We were a second and a half off all day long and couldn't figure it out.
All day long. They figured it out in one lap.
He knew it on the access road.
Yeah.
I mean, leaving on the access road, he knew it.
So right now, we just saw Martin Truex Jr. go by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. He's still a lap down, but Hamlin is 11 seconds behind Kyle Busch. Is there any way he could unlap himself? He's 9 seconds back right now from Busch.
Well, he has fresher tires, so he's running a little bit quicker, but let's talk about that. What's the pathway for the 78 to recover? A yellow, right now. He's in the free pass position. That would be perfect world. If he can get a yellow, get his lap back in stage 2 would be huge, because then you know you're getting a caution at the end of stage 2 to get caught back up, get working back on cycle. Like we said, only 12 cars in the lead lap. So right now, if you're a Martin Truex Jr. fan, you better be cheering the TV, hoping for a caution.
Kyle Busch, he's 8 seconds from last Daniel Hemrick. So Daniel Hemrick's 8 seconds ahead of him before he catches him. So if he cannot get there before the end of this stage, Truex could get his lap back right then by being the first car 1 lap down. That's obviously getting a caution right out there.
36 went sideways, and is the caution going to come out?
Tires, we're on the back stretch apron.
And a caution does come out. This is a big save for Martin Truex Jr. He will be in the free pass position and get his lap back.
You want to see relief? Top of that pit box. That's where, you look at that. Hitting his fist, rubbing his hands together, the pit crew, the tire guy, everyone who was part of that mistake just said, you know what? We just hit the lottery. We made a mistake. We got behind. We got the caution we needed to get back in this race. Here's the driver.
Let's take a look at this spin here. 36 just gets loose. Looks like maybe the car got loose on that seam there. Good job keeping it out of trouble. There's the happiness. Top of the pit box. It's like he won the race.
Yeah, that was when the caution came out.
Right there, that's better than winning the race, because now you're back in the race.
Now he's still gonna his first car lap down, so he'll still have to start at the back of the field after the pit stop.
But the beauty
is, it's still, he's gonna get a caution here with the stage in. He'll get a caution. So that was a huge break.
13 cars on the lead lap after you add Martin Truex Jr. So 13.
Well, he'll start
big
tail end.
save. Right,
Yeah.
but he's now 13th, big save, back on the lead lap.
Jeff said it the best. He's going to start tail end. I think at this point you almost forget about the next 20 laps, work on your race car, understand how the balance is going to be. You know you have another guaranteed yellow. Championships can be lost by mistakes, won by good breaks. We're going to have to see where this stacks up for the 19.
So Steve, I think what you just said is huge, because even though they had that problem, that run that he just made, that information on how the car drove, he still needs to be relaying that information, because one change builds to the next. You can't get so upset about what happened that you quit giving that information. Cole needs that to make that car better.
I agree. And just for the record, you can get so upset, because I would have been seeing black, red. I'd just been seeing colors and fireworks. I'm not sure I'd have been listening. But the 19 team kept at it. Got fortunate with the yellow. We'll see what they can do with it with, man, a ton of the race still to go.
This is the first caution for an incident that was on the racetrack. That was John Hunter Nemechek that got sideways, and with smoke and everything else, NASCAR calls the caution for that. So just the second caution of the day. NASCAR Drive, that's your live race day companion. Select up to 8 different cameras, or you can watch 4 at one time. For multi-camera view, visit NASCAR.com/drive, or you can download the NASCAR mobile app today. Listen in to the 19-team communications.
Good deal. We got the lucky dog. Oh, that was dramatic. I don't know how the hell we did that.
Well, dramatic is a good word.
So, not only did he have a lucky break, but silly as this may sound, Martin Truex Jr. helped himself out in that first stage by lapping all of those race cars. I mean, if there's 25 cars on the lead lap, then the free pass would have put him back at 25th, but he has lapped all the way up. And, hey, you want to know as a crew chief when the track's going to start to change? We put your sweatshirt on, because you know the temperatures are going down. But my point is he'll be 13th because of the hard work he put in the first stage.
Cole Pern's a T-shirt guy and a hoodie guy, and that's the way he is.
Matches his driver. It's a good compare, you know.
Okay, Steve, 22 laps to go. In stage 2, we're going to see all cars come onto pit road. Tires very valuable here, but a mistake by the 19 team, I think, just shows you it can happen.
Yeah, that was one mistake. Loose wheels, penalties on pit road, speeding. They're all still out there, so we'll see as they come to pit road who can keep their track position. The 18 has been strong. Will it continue?
They've had great stops up to this point. Dave.
Just past halfway, temperatures coming down, hoodies going on. The challenge now for Kyle Busch's crew chief is, what do I do with the race car? It was leading the race. That lead is now erased. We'll see if they make any chassis adjustments. They'll definitely change 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, Parker.
It's the same thing for Kevin Harvick, and they said on your screen there, he came across the radio and said it's getting better. I'm not sure if it's the track or the adjustments we're making. You see adjustment there, 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, Marty.
Like Dave said, you saw Cole Pern put on that hoodie. It's getting cooler. You got to wonder if the track is now going to start changing. Denny Hamlin saying he's too tight. That's affecting everything, including restarts. He leaves pit road, gaining a couple of spots, Rick.
Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick holding on to their positions. Denny Hamlin grabbed a couple. He came off of pit road 3rd. Got 2 spots there.
There's the old 19 of Martin Truex Jr. Past the pace car, back in the lead lap. He'll come to pit road this time, take service. Now this don't have a penalty. If you speed, drive too many pit boxes here, you lose that lap again. You can't be under penalty and receive the free pass. I know that sounds silly, Jeff, but when the tire's going backwards, you think maybe anything can happen. You want to remind your driver, hey, we got lucky. Let's not give it back.
Yeah, there's nothing to gain right here in having a fast stop or going down pit road too fast or going through too many boxes. It's just an inexcusable mistake if you make it. This is just about having a clean stop. Just caught a break. They know it too.
Yeah, these guys have to be focused now.
Some of the best races of my
career. Pit crew also early. Remember the race? The 18 car came on pit road way behind them. The 18 almost beat them off pit road. There's some serious pressure on this pit crew.
I love this view right here. You see Martin looking down at his lights, fighting the sun. I think coming down pit road should be a simple task, but look at this. This doesn't look very simple.
This is where your spotter is so valuable. Counting you down 10, 9, 8, how many boxes away you are. Crew chief takes it over. Kelly.
And after the initial shock of that mistake wore off, Cole Pern was really calm all over the radio, let Martin know exactly what their position was, that they were in the lucky dog position. As Steve said, Nothing really to gain here. Martin said that he was on the splitter a bunch the whole way around the track after they rectified the issue. So they let him know after they gave him the 4 Goodyear tires, they would be jacking him back up on the right side, as you see there, to work on that splitter. Again, nothing to be gained or lost on this lengthy pit stop for the 19.
This is such...
He's got a sander,
Such
Steve.
a veteran move by Cole Pern. That's the front splitter. Very, very sensitive. So sensitive that it looked like he was scraping some rubber buildup off, or maybe even sanding some of the rubber off from it. There's nothing to be gained, nothing to be lost. Use this time. You got to always be coaching. Always be coaching.
Steve, could there have been anything that putting that left side tire on the right front, could that have gotten the car down on the splitter and ground some of it off and created some issues or some imperfections in it that they need to cure?
For sure. That left side tire is smaller than a standard right side tire. For that one lap, the splitter might have drugged the racetrack, hurt the shape of the splitter, or even just picked up more rubber. Maybe just double checking to make sure they don't have an issue. 127 laps to go in the race.
The Mobile One Peacock pit box is going to be very busy for the rest of the day, this evening especially. There'll be post-race coverage on NBCSN. Of course, after the race on NBC. Football night in America. Bears and Rams facing off. We saw the 19 team and the playoff beards. They don't normally have those playoff beards, but if you were maybe a hockey fan, which I know Cole Pern is from Canada, this week, Wednesday night hockey, Alex Ovechkin and the Capitals, they bring the league's best record into New York to face Henrik Lundqvist and the Rangers. That's Wednesday night hockey, 8 p.m. Eastern on NBCSN. Beard's a little bit fuller there for the 19 team.
So an interesting one more layer to this is a lot of cars with 19 laps to go have decided to take the wave around. So you're going to see the 19 of Martin Truex only like 6-7 rows behind the leader. That's because he's going to line up in front of those wave around cars. It's a little complicated. All you need to know is if you're a Truex fan, you've got a couple lucky breaks. You may want to skip the trip to the casino or the lottery if you're a big fan because your driver just got lucky.
It's going to be 18 laps to the end of stage 2. And it was Kyle Busch up front, Kevin Harvick and Denny Hamlin now. They're the top 3. We have Kyle Larson, Jimmy Johnson running in the top 5. Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Clint Boyer, Eric Jones, Joey Logano as they approach the Geico restart zone. Back up through the gears.
For the end of the race. Martin Truex Jr. back there 3 wide on the bottom. How about Harvick to the middle? Mr. Harvick.
Look how much shade this corner's got.
Oh,
Got to take advantage of that cool temperature on that track.
Big run on the top side.
These two earlier were fighting for third. Now it's for the lead. Here comes Harvick to the bottom of the racetrack.
It's obvious now that Harvick has that short run speed. He did this at the start of the race. He did it after several laps. Once we got another restart, here he does it again, back to the front. Great speed in this Ford car.
And you wonder if that forces the other teams. We've had so many races here where we get late race restarts, so start thinking about that. Maybe give up some of that long run speed. Terrifying to do it, though, because you never know what kind of run you're going to get.
Yeah, I feel like the short run speed is the duration of short run gets longer as we get cooler and later into the evening. The short run becomes 20 laps, then 30 laps, then 40 laps. Heck, you might even run the entire final segment on the bottom of the racetrack or the middle. Never even need to go to the wall.
We always know these restarts are crazy. It's a good Denny Hamlin with Ryan Blaney right on his door in the middle of the corner, pulling that air off. Boom. Of contact.
That's big time contact right there.
Right there. The 11 of Hamlin cannot hold the bottom of the racetrack. Gets into the 12 of Blaney.
Hamlin now in the 5th spot. Kevin Harvick up front. Kyle Busch running second. We go NASCAR nonstop. Monster Energy Cup Series Championship be determined. 117 laps remaining in this race. 9 to go in stage 2. And out front, it's Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch running about a half a second back, but Kyle Busch has had his hands full ever since this most recent restart.
Yeah, but look at what's happening. Talked about that short run speed for Kevin Harvick. Right now, Kyle Busch is running him down 3/10 a lap. This is only 9 laps into this run. We can see Kevin Harvick's going to have to work on his car to make it go better later in these runs, Parker.
Right, Jeff, he just came across radio and said too loose everywhere. And remember, most of the first few runs of this race, he was way too tight, but he was weary of loosening that car too much as they went in the nighttime, felt the track would come to them. But right now, just too loose. The team updated him on the line that the 18 is running so he can adjust his line and try and hold the ball.
We saw the 18 of Kyle Busch when we were in NASCAR nonstop. Take a look at the hands of Kyle Busch here when the car gets away from him.
That's a huge correction.
Was that the spotter? All good?
Look at this. And this is huge right here for Denny Hamlin. I mean, you have to be, if you're Denny Hamlin, after last week's win, to get yourself here and all the talk about not having won a championship, Truex Jr. with the problem they had, and now Truex is passing you. It's got to be a terrible feeling for Denny Hamlin.
Truex sitting there back in traffic. He's passing these cars offline and still running the second, third fastest laps of anybody out there right now. This 19 car, I think it had a whole lot more in it than we even were seeing earlier in the race. Now that he's being pressed to sort of do something, to run as hard as he can to drive his way back up into this battle.
How much hungrier are you as a driver when a mistake happens and you've got to fight your way back? Are you that much more hungry to get to the front and say, by the way, guys, I'm still the best?
I was a little bit surprised, I guess, by how limited Martin was on the radio during all that. You know, he was very matter of fact, hey, what happened, and didn't say anything else about it. Didn't make any negative comments toward his team. Now he's passing the 12 of Blaney for 4th. I think he just has great confidence in his car and his team, and Cole runs that team. I think Cole keeps Martin in check in a sense.
Under 5 laps to go now. Marty.
Boy, Denny Hamlin of the championship 4 guys struggling the most. He says when he gets in the middle of the corner of the car, when it's supposed to yaw or turn and rotate, it just won't. They've been struggling with a very tight race car, and we've seen him struggle on a couple of restarts as well. He says that also is because of that tight condition. Battle for the lead shaping up. Kyle Busch trying to get Kevin Harvick back. It's been fun to watch these two, Rick.
Yeah, he's reeled him back in, and now it's about 0.3 of a second that separate these two.
And this is the end that I think the 18 is actually better. He runs a little higher than the 4, which doesn't look as good in the middle of the corner. But drivers, look at the run. The 18 gets down the back stretch. He kind of toes up onto the 4 heading into turn 3.
Yeah, Kevin Harvick's coming up on some lap traffic that could play a role in where he can run, where he's able to run. Look at that 18 car driving up on the back. Very impressive to be able to get to that quarter panel. The 4 car just so loose, could not use the throttle.
See the back of the car moving around on Kevin Harvick's. As soon as he drove in the corner, the back rolled around on it and just sat there and stayed, and then it started wiggling. Kevin Harvick said he was loose, and you can see it.
Now this 32 is going to cause some problems for the 4. He's going to slow that 18 up off the corner just a little bit.
And with that loose condition, Kevin Harvick is kind of limited in what he can do. If he drives underneath him right here, he has to really check the back of that car. Really make sure he doesn't get too loose on the bottom.
Man,
Look at it.
It's moving a lot.
So look how far the left rear tire is away from the white line compared to the left front tire.
Able to do that and still stay right there to the quarter panel. Pretty impressive by Harvick.
Final 2 laps of stage 2, and the battle continues. Who will win stage 2?
Let's see if Harvick can make that high side work in 1 and 2. Kyle's went away from it, back to the bottom now that he has the lead. Doesn't look like Harvick's able to use the throttle enough to get that momentum going down that long back straightaway from the top of turn 2.
Martin Truex Jr. has made his way up to 4th already. On the move, 9 positions since the restart.
Fastest car on the track that last lap.
You heard Harvick say still too loose. We agree with you, buddy. We're watching you. I mean, he is driving.
The final lap of stage 2. It's Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, 1 and 2. Larson, Martin Truex Jr. up to 4th. Denny Hamlin has made his way back up to 5th. After this, it will be 107 laps to end this race. Kyle Busch has come out of turn 4. He'll win stage 2. So now Martin Truex Jr. has won stage 1. Kyle Busch has won stage 2. Who will win the championship? Still up in the air. Kyle Busch A great pit crew already. Could it win him the title today? Gorgeous sunsets here in South Florida as stage 2 is now complete. The NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Ford EcoBoost 400. It is senior day in South Bend as Boston College visits Notre Dame for the Irish's final home game of the season Saturday, 2:30 p.m. Eastern on NBC. And getting ready for the pit stops at the end of stage 2.
Rick, we've kind of gotten to that point, with 105 laps to go. There's no more guaranteed yellows. You are going to need one more pit stop. You can run 60 or 65 laps on fuel, but we saw the 19 have a mistake, get very lucky, but have the end of those stage to kind of get them back in the game. At this point, we're in the final stage of the final race, right? I mean, it's 105 laps to a championship.
And here they come. Back onto pit road. A little smoke of tires back there as they're slowing down, Dave.
Leader Kyle Busch is on pit road, and we introduced you to his jackman, TJ Ford, at the beginning of the race. TJ has a wrench strapped to his chest as he carries the jack around to the right side of the race car. We'll see if he uses it, because Adam Stevens said this may be our last chance to get a good adjustment. Kyle's car could stand to be a little bit freer. Parker.
Kevin Harvick, you guys saw, was too loose. Rodney came across radio and said that's the same adjustments we've been making. They're going to add a little bit of tape there and adjust for the right rear, Kelly.
Martin Truex Jr. made up 9 positions. That run, he said he was a little bit tight in traffic, but once he got rolling, it was pretty good, Marty.
Just out of the racetrack, critical time for Denny Hamlin. This is a critical adjustment for Chris Gabehart. Air pressure, wedge, and tape on the grill as well. They gain another spot. He said, I'm simply too tight.
Championship 4 comes off as the top 4 again, getting ready for the final stage. Let's go down to the Mobile One Peacock pit box and Chris Devoto.
And Rick, you saw in that stage the visual reminder of day to night. Cole Pern putting on his sweatshirt. When asked about why his team does so well with that, Martin Truex said, it is our strength because we plan ahead. Is that foreshadowing for what's to come? The Mobile One Peacock pit box is going to get torn down for the 2019 season. We'll see you out on the track for post-race. Kyle Petty just told me he can't wait to see who we're talking to. Brett?
Christy, this is an exciting Ford Championship weekend here, not just for the drivers, but some fans as well. The Bronco Club of America invited some of their owners to come down, take a lap around the track, and if they did it, they'd get a couple pit passes, tickets this weekend. They even got a Q&A with Daniel Suarez and Ryan Blaney, who is a Bronco owner. But how cool is that, fans, to get on this track this morning? There's so many things that go on at a racetrack before the championship weekend, and what fan would turn that opportunity down, guys?
Looks like a lot of fun, a lot of car enthusiasts here to watch this championship. Now the 18, look at all the tape on the front of this one, Junior.
Yeah, Mark Snyder mentioned that during the pit stop, them teams adding tape. It's free grip. And as this track's cooling down, temperatures are cooling down, the temperature in that motor cools down, and you get to add more and more tape to the front of that car. It's going to make it drive a lot better, Steve.
You mentioned it's free. It's the only thing I can think of that adds downforce and reduces drag. That's a win-win for the crew chief. Something that was probably already planned. You see some marks on the grill, so they knew where to place the tape. It's going to be a fun 102 laps here, Rick.
Sun going behind the grandstands. The fans getting a great show here as we get ready for the final stage to get underway. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, the top 4 again.
Truex pushed the 4 of Harvick so much it got the rear tires off the ground. Now he's on the outside of him.
3 wide for third.
Still 3 wide. Still 3 wide.
Kyle Larson made a 4 wide.
4 wide with the 42. Maybe a little contact. The 22 working to the outside of the 19.
Business is picking up with these restarts here late in this final stage. But they're interesting, though. Oh, Truex real high off the corner.
And both of these guys are stuck back there in traffic, and Denny Hamlin going for the lead.
Denny Hamlin surging ahead as he goes into 1.
That's the first time Denny Hamlin has seen a sign of having the fastest car tonight. This track's changing. Got some track position. Let's see what he can do with it. Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick still battling. They're back in 5th and 6th.
Here comes the 18. Denny's going to go down and block. Now back up the racetrack he goes. They're side by side for the lead.
Wow, Truex all the way up alongside that 42 in the corner. His car is so fast. These two guys up front, side by side. Who's it going to be on turn 2? Looks like 18's almost clear.
Here comes the 11 back on the high side.
And with that momentum, using that high line, I think Kyle Busch right now will kind of overdrive the corner just a little bit, trying to side in front of Hamlin. Can't make it work.
Behind him, Truex around the outside of the 42, taking third spot. These guys side by side. Truex is going to get a run here.
Joe Gibbs Racing. 3 cars, a little contact as they go into 1. 3 cars in the championship, and already they're running 1, 2, and 3. 98 laps to go in the race.
Man, 18 made it clear off of turn 2. Then he tried his hardest to stay on the outside door of that 18 car.
Here comes Harvick. And now, the championship 4, once again, running 1, 2, 3, 4.
And he tried to create a run down this front straightaway. Got a little momentum, not enough to make a move here. Down into the bottom of turn 1 to the inside.
Look how far he drove in the corner. Can't hold the bottom, in the gas anyway.
Jeff, I know that Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, and Martin Truex Jr. currently 1, 2, 3. They all drive for Coach Joe Gibbs. They're teammates all year long, but it was very clear with the championship on the line, they may drive for Coach Gibbs, but they're not teammates this weekend. Prepared differently, practice differently, and race like a championship is on the line. I applaud the organization. That's what the race fans deserve, that's what the drivers deserve, and that's what they've done.
Go back and watch some of this action that we've seen. Some really tight action on that restart. The 18 and 11 on the front straightaway. Kyle Busch trying to side draft. Denny Hamlin trying to turn down into the corner. A little bit of contact. And on this restart, look at Martin Truex Jr. pushing the 4 car, trying to help him, but the timing of that was wrong. As Kevin started to accelerate, right there, you heard him accelerate. That's when Martin Truex was in the back bumper. The timing of that was wrong. Got Kevin Harvick messed up. Watch this as we ride along.
Green. 42
It was great. As soon as that happened, they both looked in the mirror.
Yeah,
why they looked in the mirror? Because they knew they were going to have to block. They knew the runs were coming from behind. They knew they had lost momentum. Kevin Harvick now making a run back to the front.
How about Harvick?
Yeah.
He's going to take 3rd away from Martin Truex Jr. But here comes Truex Jr. on the outside.
I was wondering where that early run speed was from Harvick, but he's trying to take this position back from the 19 car. Zero in and make his assault on that 11 car up there. Denny Hamlin trying to clear this 19 off the corner. He's going to be able to do it.
It's going to get really tight right there. Now what's he do?
To the inside.
He's going to take 2nd away from Hamlin. Here comes Harvick. The 19 coming along. Got a little bit loose inside of the 11 of Hamlin.
So Martin Truex Jr., think about this. He charged up through the field, didn't he, guys? But now that he's gotten to these guys, it's going to be harder. So it's hard to judge how good your car is when you're not racing them. They may be an adjustment behind on their race car right now.
We also saw him have to make the adjustment to the splitter on pit road. We don't know how much speed that might have taken out of this car since having that issue. Seeing Harvick drive up here and pass both these guys into 2nd place. Now on the bottom of the racetrack, 3 and 4, trying to close in on that leader in the 18 car, Kyle Busch.
Great shot. Looking back, Martin Truex Jr. See him checking his mirror. Now left side, his eyes on that left side line. Picking a point where he wants to put his car. How far can he drive into the corner before he lifts off the throttle?
Denny Hamlin's found a little bit of speed here, changing his line around. Got a great run on the 4 car for 2nd. Denny moving up the racetrack here late in this race. He's got a good run again. Great momentum here. He's going to be able to make a move to the inside.
Harvick's still really loose. See the car moving around a lot on corner exit. Still haven't seen Harvick run that wall like we saw in practice. Still waiting. Still being patient.
Look at Denny. Denny doesn't want to stay on the bottom. His car doesn't seem to be able to run the bottom. Even when he had to enter low, he drives up the racetrack to the top.
Right now, it's Kyle Busch out front as we go NASCAR nonstop. Kyle Busch has 0.8 of a second over Denny Hamlin. Then Harvick is back a 1.5 seconds. And Martin Truex Jr. 2 seconds seconds behind Kyle Busch right now, but the championship 4 continuing to run in the top 4 positions.
Denny Hamlin was running down our leader, Kyle Busch, but Kyle Busch moved up the racetrack into that line, found more speed, maintaining that lead and not lengthening what he has of this 11 car. Denny now moving around. He was running the high side. He's trying the middle. He's trying anything to cut back into that lead, get back up there, and make this a fight.
I think we got to really talk about this Kyle Busch, this 18 car. Did you see his speed in the last month, 2 months, 3 months? It wasn't there. Championship day, though, they brought it. That's a major improvement from what they've been doing. That's how you win championships, stepping up at the right moment.
The big focus put on this team and this championship. Let's go through the field, brought to you by Applebee's.
And Rick, they made the slightest of adjustments for Kyle Busch on that stop via the jackman TJ Ford. When he leapt off the wall with his jack in hand, he had his wedge wrench attached to his chest. There it is. It's made of magnetic steel, so magnets in the suit hold it there. Throughout the pit stop, he made his way back around, but watch how quickly and how shortly before the car leaves, he gets that adjustment in. If Kyle's car is right for the end of this race, that may be the reason why. Marty?
Under 100 to go, and finally some signs of life from his teammate Denny Hamlin. Before the restart, he got a pep talk from Chris Gabehart. Listen in.
And as bad as that pile is driving, we are still running forward with our competition in front of us. We are not going to stop until it's done. Hey, there he is.
Denny happy to hear his head cheerleader cheering him on, and he answered. And a moment ago on the radio, he said, "This ain't over." And he said, Denny Hamlin, Chris Gabehart told him, "I want you to lock in." Parker?
Oh, Marty, you know Kevin Harvick loved breaking up that Joe Gibbs Racing trio. You know, on NASCAR America this last Thursday, he threw a little jab at the Joe Gibbs Racing trio when he said, you know, that team's going to have to figure out who they focus on and how much information they share, that sort of thing. He said, at Stewart-Haas Racing, we don't have that problem. We got one car in this championship fight, and all the focus is on the Ford, Kelly.
Martin Truex Jr. has dropped off just a little bit. He said his exit is getting kind of tight, but he told the team not to be nervous, and then he said this.
I don't think I'll be able to get back to him. I just need a little time.
He said he thought the air pressures might be a little bit low considering the track is now cooling off. And then, Steve, you want to know how they figured out they had the wrong tires on so quickly? Well, Cole Kern was able to spot the markings on the tires with his own eyes from the top of the pit box, spotted it as they were going on the car on that pit stop.
Had some attention from on top of the pit box. Not sure I had that much attention span. Cole Kern doing a great job. I mean, the mistake was one thing, but diagnosing it as quick as they did is really what allowed this 19 to get back in the race.
And right now running in the 4th position. So it's Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Kevin Harvick, Martin Truex Jr. Again, the 4 of the championship 4 separated by less than 3 seconds.
Kevin Harvick right there on the bottom of the racetrack. The lap before, he went to the very top, which is what we saw him doing in practice. But when he did it, he slowed down about 0.4 of a second, allowed Martin Truex Jr. to pull back on him. Now he's gone back to the line that he's been running all day.
We're going nonstop, brought to you by Coca-Cola. Denny Hamlin curling in the 2nd spot. He's 2 seconds behind Kyle Busch right now. But Denny Hamlin, you heard the report just moments ago from Marty. There's still confidence. Don't count us out yet.
They've definitely improved. I don't know whether the adjustments have helped them on the race car or the track has changed. Obviously, the entire track now in the shade as it's cooling off tremendously, really quickly. Seems to be suiting the handle on this race car now. He just needs a little bit more, I think, to compete with Kyle Busch, who's out there running faster laps. By anyone in the field, Kyle 2/10 quicker that last time out.
And guys, all 3 of us were down on the grid right before the race. I was on the pit box, you guys at the front of the grid. And how about that crowd around the 11 car of Denny Hamlin, right? It's more than just him. He had all his buddies. Dale, you talking Michael Jordan was here with a DHR hat on.
Goodness.
I mean, if you're
I was wondering if that would be even more pressure. Michael Jordan comes to your, I mean, if Michael Jordan comes to your game and sits in the stands and like, hey, go watch
where's your
play.
logo? Where's your logo?
Man, yeah, that is tough, but I bet Denny is fired up. I bet that fires Denny up.
Yeah, definitely a changed Denny Hamlin. As we look at the Coke driver update. Denny Hamlin running 2nd. Larson is 5th. Logano 7th, all inside the top 10. Marty.
Yeah, Rick, that crowd that was around the car, all of Denny's buddies literally applauded him when he got in the car, and you kind of felt a good atmosphere around the 11 car. You know, it's interesting. In 2010, Denny said his championship run then, he shut everybody and everything out here in Miami. He said he went to bed every night at 8:30. He studied film, he studied notes, and he was miserable. He was psyched out before he even started the race. 2014, he didn't want to do anything different then either. He didn't want to know about championship plans or anything. He said, this year, I'm changing everything up. I'm going to late dinners. I'm having my friends here. In fact, he had a birthday dinner last night until 12:30 a.m. That's when he got back to the racetrack. So keeping it the same, keeping it loose, Steve, I think that's made Denny actually more focused in what he's doing today.
Denny Hamlin is having a year to remember, right? 6 wins, the Daytona 500. He's found his comfort. We'll see if he can find a little more speed. We're going to go NASCAR nonstop.
You can check out the greatest selection of T-shirts, die-casts, and more for all of your favorite drivers. All you have to do is visit NASCAR.com/shop. You're watching NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Ford EcoBoost 400 at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Now just 71 laps to go. And green flag pit stops could be coming up. You saw the right rear tire going down on the 43. He was running 25th. He was able to make it to pit road. They changed that tire. Ray Lewis was actually here, gave a pre-race speech to the team before they went out on the track. So we see the 42 making the move now. Larson trying to get by Harvick. He'll take the 4th spot away. Dave.
And Rick, Kevin Harvick's tire specialist will certainly have an adjustment to make on this last stop, if it is the last stop. His name is Jamie Tursky, and he's been around the sport for about 19 years. His dad, Ed, cheering him on the whole time. Harvick's win at Texas, the last opportunity to do that. But 3 days after the win in Texas, Ed had a brain aneurysm and has since fallen into a coma. Appropriately, Jamie, or Turkey as he's called, missed the Phoenix race to be with family. But when Miami came up, he said, I'm going because my dad saw us win, and if he was conscious, he would make me go. Today, Jamie has inked Ed's initials on every right front Goodyear wing foot that goes on Kevin Harvick's car. He's in a hospital right now in Winston-Salem. The family is around him, and they put a speaker next to his head. They don't know if he can hear the race or not, but they believe he can. And, of course, they'd love to hear the words, the 4-team wins the championship, because he already knows Jamie's here.
That's touching. You know, Ed, hopefully listening, it will help him to see his son and the car do well. As we see the 19, Martin Truex Jr. holding on to the 3rd spot now. He'll be under assault from the 42 of Kyle Larson. Looks like Larson is starting to make the move now. He's gone up to the high side, right up against the wall, and a lot of momentum up there.
He has, but you mentioned Truex. He's running the 11 down. Martin Truex Jr. has been really, really quick. See Kyle Larson right against the wall. The only guy on the racetrack really using that much racetrack.
Yeah, I feel like this track's cooled down so much, and it's getting too late in the run for that high side to be that effective. These guys being able to run the bottom in the middle of the racetrack a lot more, a lot deeper in the run. Right there in 1 and 2, right to the bottom of the racetrack. A lot of different lines there, Marty.
So far, Denny Hamlin has not ventured up to the very top of the wall, but is it time to do so? Here's what Chris Gabard had to say.
23 green, 78 to go. If you need to get it all, now's the time to do it. Yeah, I have. I'm saying the fence. Do what you got to do if you need to.
And to that point, we chatted with Denny Hamlin earlier this week, guys, and he said, I think I can run to the fence as well as anyone. But he told us, I'm going to leave no stone unturned. So what did he do? He called his buddy Kyle Larson, who everyone knows is the best at running the fence, and got some advice. He said, I picked up 2 or 3 things. We'll see if that helps the 11.
Yeah, great person to go to. I mean, he's got a friend in Kyle Larson. So, hey, Kyle Larson, you're the best at running right against the fence. Give me some pointers. And he did.
And Denny was already pretty good. Probably the second best guy in the field next to Larson that runs the wall here. But I just don't know if that's going to be where the race is won late. I mean, it's cool. It is unusually cool here.
It is, but if it's a long run, I still think the top will work. I think if you get 45 laps on a set of tires, you'll get up there, 65 laps to go. And really, the only reason I say that with confidence is because where the 42 is currently running. I think he's the best car in the racetrack at the moment. He is running the top. is it an advantage, or just because it's Kyle Larson? I don't know. Maybe we need a second person to go up there to prove it one way or the other.
We get ready to go NASCAR nonstop. Kyle Busch now with a 2.4-second lead over Denny Hamlin. Tonight, Sunday Night Football on NBC. Khalil Mack and the Bears are going to visit Aaron Donald and the Rams. That coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with Football Night in America only on NBC. Tonight's aerial coverage presented by Coca-Cola. Talked about the beautiful sunsets here in South Florida. It was a great one as we see the 42 now on pit road, Kelly.
And it's interesting because Kyle Larson thought they were only good on the short run, but seemed to pick up speed late on that run. Other than that, he's just been a little bit too loose. At one point, 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for the 42.
The 42 has set the tone. I didn't know if the championship 4 would chase him. As a non-championship 4, Denny Hamlin was running second. He has made the move, the first of the championship 4 to come to pit road. Right away, 58 laps to go. He'll be coming to the service of his crew. Final adjustments, Marty.
The last time Chris Gabehart made this move, it gained him about a second. He was about 2 seconds behind Kyle Busch on the racetrack. We'll see if the 11 coming earlier than the rest of the championship 4 pays off. Denny said his car too tight on exit, needs to be freer. That's been the theme all day long. Chris Gabehart said any negatives to that last change. He said, no, we're clearly going in the right direction. More tape on the grill as it gets cooler. 4 fresh Goodyear tires, Dave.
Kyle Busch describes his race car. And coming down pit road now, he said that the car was more out of the track.
Coming out of the racetrack.
Right, he called it after that a little bit more slippy. This time he'll get 4 Goodyear tires, just a slight air pressure adjustment, and a full load of Sunoco fuel.
Another quick stop there for the 18. And now still out on the track, Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick of the championship 4.
Yeah, as they stay on the racetrack, though, very interesting to me to see where the 18 ends up stacking up against the 11. Here's the 11 right here. He's already made his service. That's why I was wondering. Here's the 18. The 11 came a lap earlier. Man, the 18, Kyle Busch is so good on and off pit road. Even pitting a lap later, he will cycle in front of the 11. But how about split strategies? A couple of the championship 4 pit, a couple stay on the racetrack.
How long will they stay, Steve? Do you stay the full run now?
Well, I think at this point, the 19 team is going to have to commit to it. He knows he's running longer. It's an interesting call. As we see Kyle Larson's coming back down pit road, one of the favorites for winning the race, seems to have an issue, Kelly.
Well, Cole Pern initially told Martin Truex Jr. just that. He said, we're going to run long. Then when he saw the 11 and 18 come to pit road, he quickly called Martin to pit road, but then quickly called him back off of it. So you see the 19 has stayed on track, and they've kind of made their bet at this point.
So you see the 42 hood up, an issue on the 42 car, obviously. But here's the strategy. The 19 car, he can't come down. He's waited too long. He'll give up a ton of time. He's now kind of committed to stay on the racetrack and try to catch a yellow or run all the way and hope that the tires are new enough he can make the time up on the end of the run. It's going to be very difficult. Kelly, what do you hear on the 42?
Yeah, what a shame for this team. They look so fast. Kyle Larson just said he has no power, something's wrong, and then he said, I think it's blown up.
So unfortunate.
Yes. Kyle Larson, every time we come down here, he's a threat to win this race. This split strategy is fascinating to me. Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick clearly didn't feel like they could win this race by doing the same thing that Kyle Busch was doing. Trying something completely different.
There's an uncontrolled tire on pit road by the 10 team. Parker.
And it's the same situation for Kevin Harvick on the 14 when the 11 pitted. Ronnie Childers came across the radio and said, we're going to stay out with the 19, go long and hope for a caution. So they're in the same boat. So their last-ditch effort here to try and beat those Joe Gibbs cars.
And now the 19 comes to pit road, Steve.
I'm not a fan of this. I think you either need to be on the front side or completely on the back side. The 19 of Martin Truex Jr. seems to be stuck in the middle. He's going to lose a ton of time to the teams that have already put tires on. Maybe a little bit fresher tires will help them, Kelly. We'll have to see.
So this 19 team electing to stay out 4 to 5 laps longer than his teammates Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch. Martin Truex Jr. simply saying on that last run that he was just too tight. So they'll give him 4 Goodyear tires and top him off with Sunoco fuel.
A little bit slower on the left side there for Martin Truex Jr. on this stop. Kevin Harvick scored as the race leader, and he seems to be staying out on the racetrack, though, going to implement that strategy you talked about.
And here's the problem. Here's Martin Truex Jr. leaving pit road. Well, there goes the 4 of Kevin Harvick, who's the leader. And then you're going to see the 18 of Kyle Busch. He's all the way on the other side of the racetrack. I mean, the 18 of Kyle Busch is a half a lap almost ahead of the 19. Literally, I'm talking 3/4 of a mile in front of the 19. That's what 5-lap fresher tires will do here at Homestead-Miami Speedway.
Kevin Harvick ran a 34.50. Kyle Busch ran a 32.87. I mean, almost 2 seconds a lap faster.
And the problem for Truex is that he's not going to be able to make up that much time in 50 laps. Right?
And William Byron, an issue for the 24, slow on the backstretch. Will he make it to the access road?
So now if you're Kevin Harvick's spotter, you're seeing that. And you're telling them no matter what, you cannot pit. You've got to stay out. Hope for this caution.
The word from William Byron is that the car is in low oil protection mode. Now he has no oil pressure.
2 issues for Hendrick engines back-to-back. The 42 of Kyle Larson, now the 24 of William Byron, Marty.
And maybe a problem for Denny Hamlin. They put a massive piece of tape on the grill last time down, Steve. It's getting cooler. You can see all that tape they put on the left side. Denny said the water temps are now pegged. The oil at 345. And he said, we're not going to make it. We're not going to make, the engine's not going to make it to the end of the race if we're doing this pace.
You see the water coming out. This is completely overheating. You see the tape. We talked about adding tape, Dale. You mentioned it earlier. We mentioned maybe some marks on the grill. Well, that piece, way too large or in the wrong area. A miscalculation by the 11 crew, currently running 3rd in the race, was in position. How long can this Toyota engine hold on? So here's the crew member right here putting it on. Man, that is that's half the grill they've covered right there.
Why didn't he come to pit road now, though, Steve? Why is he going to stay out?
Denny said, we're not going to make it. They're coming to pit road, guys. Denny Hamlin's championships may be over. He told Chris Gabehart, I'm not coming down pit road. You make that call. Tell me if I need to come down. And Chris Gabehart just said, yeah, come on down.
Oh, this is just a huge blow for the 11 of Denny Hamlin. A miscalculation with the grill tape. It's going to hurt. Going to hurt his chances.
Another lap here. Did not come to pit road this time, Bob.
He stayed back out.
We've had this situation before.
Just like this. Bring it. Bring it.
You hear it right now. You got to come. With it being that hot, you're going to have to come. I'm good with waiting as long as you can possibly wait, hoping for a caution. But you can't be in denial, and think it's going to fix itself. It's only going to get hotter. We'll push all the water out of it. It's going to blow the motor up. Got to hit pit road. May have already done damage, right, Steve? I mean, you don't know. It's impossible to know how much water it pushed out of it.
Yeah, I mean, to run that hot can hurt the engine. You saw the steam.
Yeah, still coming out.
We did several years ago, though. We saw a car at Talladega run around like this for like 15 laps, and I kept thinking it's going to blow up. It might have been
me.
It might have been you.
Those gauges were pegged for at least 10, 15 laps at Talladega. Marty.
Just so crushing for Denny Hamlin, this 11 team, the slow roll down pit road, and it's just spewing water everywhere. They're going to get the tape off of it at this point. Just going to salvage what they can salvage here. Ford Goodyear tires, but man, look at all that water it's losing, Steve. I don't know how long that thing could last when he's going to go back out on the racetrack.
He needs to get back out there, get the temperature down. You saw the tape pulled off. Once again, that tape was put on the last pit stop. It was a calculated change that was put on in error. They definitely don't want to cover that much of the grill. We talked about how big of a battle this was going to be, and it was going to have to be aggressive by every person. That was an aggressive call by the 11 to add the tape. The miscalculation is going to hurt them, and now we see the 4 of Kevin Harvick, who was leading the race, has finally come to pit road. This will hand the lead to Kyle Busch. Parker?
Right, Steve. Rodney Childers told me he looked at data all last night about when to make this final pit stop, which could potentially be the final pit stop for the 14. They want as far as they can go here. It's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. They're also adding a bit of tape on the front, not covering as much as the 11, obviously.
solid stop for the 14.
Solid stop, but the caution they were hoping for, Rick, didn't come. That was the strategy. And there you go. The 18 of Kyle Busch, race leader, will actually lap the 4 of Kevin Harvick. Harvick stayed so long on the racetrack. The new tires should help him, but heartbreak for the 11 of Denny Hamlin.
Difficult for Kevin Harvick, staying out late, trying that strategy, but even worse for the 11. Too much tape, overheating, and Denny Hamlin's hopes may have just gone up in steam right there. Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. running 1 and 2 now in the championship and in the race. Monster Energy Cup Series championship to be decided in 38 laps. Kyle Busch in front of Martin Truex Jr. 8.4 seconds is the gap. Martin Truex Jr. continues to run faster laps, but are they fast enough to catch him in the 38 laps?
And right there in front of that 18 car is Harvick. He has passed your leader and unlapped himself with those newer tires, driving away, but whole lap behind Kyle Busch. Marty.
Hey, Junior, I wanted to show you guys the piece of tape that came off the front of the 11 car. I mean, you can see how big that is. It's as big as my entire forearm. So, Steve, kind of walk us through the procedure. The tire carrier is the guy who's supposed to put that tape on. They know where they're supposed to put the tape, but this is a big piece of tape, and clearly might have cost Denny Hamlin a shot at a championship.
Yeah, Marty, I'm not sure why they used such a big piece. Obviously, the goal was to cover just a small portion of the grill. Maybe they used all that so it would stick to the nose and stay on. My preference was always to use a piece of tape the size Rick, where if you made a mistake and put it right in the center of the grill by accident, it still wasn't going to overheat. Now, why it wasn't as efficient, maybe I didn't get as much of a benefit as that big piece placed perfectly. I also couldn't have to come in a second time to take it off. Just a huge mistake, really. It's a miscalculation, a mistake, a big piece of tape put in the wrong location, overheating for the 11. Now he runs 18th a lap down.
Kevin Harvick has made his way back out onto the lead lap. He's running 13th right now. He's the last car on the lead lap, but he's 31 seconds behind Kyle Busch.
All right, Rick, when we started the championship 4, we're all running inside the top 5. We saw a varying of pit strategies. Well, with 36 to go, here's the result. The 18 of Kyle Busch. You just saw him go through the screen. He has just under an 8-second lead on this, the second-place car of Martin Truex Jr. Cole Pern, Martin Truex Jr. pitted 5 laps later than the 18. Those 5-lap fresher tires have consistently run faster laps. But as the tires age, both on the 18 and the 19, the advantage of the new tires seems to be diminishing, Jeff.
And it probably will. But listen, he was 4 seconds behind. Truex was 4 seconds behind Kyle Busch when Kyle Busch pitted. So I have a feeling that Cole Pern didn't think they could run 4 seconds. They couldn't run him down by 4 seconds. He's still running in second. So maybe he was thinking, hey, let's do something different. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, we'll still be running second if we get that caution, and we'll still have a shot at him. So I don't think he would be able to run him down from 4 seconds back anyway. So probably a call by Cole Pern, understanding the situation he was in and just trying to do something different.
Yeah, I don't mind. I agree with you on Cole Pern. I even agree with Rodney Childers. The 4 was the 4th of the championship 4. He said, man, maybe we'll get lucky. I have to do something. It's really the miscue by the 11 what has given the 18 team a straightaway gap. You know, the 11 should have been the closest car, putting the pressure on the 18.
The other thing is, and the teams know all this, the longest green flag stretch in a race here in the last 6 races is 34 laps. So I think that they're all expecting that caution. We'll see. We never know.
33 to go, Jeff. So we're under that.
I just wanted to go on record that I didn't jinx it. It was Jeff. It was Jeff that jinxed it. And the new tires that Truex had is about leveled off. That last time by, he's a little bit slower than Kyle Busch. Only a few laps before that, maybe a tenth better. That is not going to do it. 7.8 seconds, 0.8 tenths back. He's in lap traffic right now. The 19 car is Kyle Busch. The lappers are kind of moving over for Kyle. You saw him waving out the window to those guys. Hey, man, thank you. Appreciate you giving me the easy way around here. They know that he's the leader. I don't know if Truex is probably getting that same benefit as he's back there battling those guys.
Kyle Busch tried to put into perspective what it would mean for him to win a second championship.
I think it would mean everything to be able to win a second one. You know, there's a lot of doubters from the first one, so obviously that would help that. But more importantly, I think just for my legacy and being able to add 2 to be able to then go for 3 and so on.
Interesting he said that, going for 3. When we sat down to talk to him, he said, I think I should have more than 2 championships, more than 3 championships by now in my career.
And also he mentioned some people with doubters with that first one. Remember, that was the year that he got hurt, and he got the waiver, the injury waiver, didn't run all the races, but still won the championship. And that perturbed him. You could tell that people doubting I won that championship was not something that he liked. He wanted a second one just to be able to tell those people, I did win the first one, and I won another one also.
Right now, Kyle Busch, a 7.7 second lead over Martin Truex Jr., who's running second. We go NASCAR nonstop. "25 laps to crown a champion." Homestead-Miami Speedway, a championship will be won today.
We're not a favorite this time. They all have it out for me every single weekend. You do what you have to do to win the race for your team. No other driver wants it as bad as I do. I'm a lot meaner than he thinks I am in that car, I promise.
Green flag! Dominant performance early on.
Hamlin saying his car is tight and slow.
What about this battle, guys? A huge error by the 19.
18 surging ahead.
4 best teams, the 4 best drivers.
It's fun to watch. Hamlin go over the lead.
The championship 4 running 1, 2, 3, 4.
A huge blow for the 11th.
Hamlin still a lap down, and he's running in 14th. Harvick has battled back. He's 7th, but he's still 24 seconds back. Right now, it's Kyle Busch. He has a 7.2-second lead over Martin Truex Jr. Only 24 laps now, 23 laps to go.
Rick, I have had a car leading the race with a big lead in the closing laps, but never to win a championship. You sit on top of the pit stop, on the top of the pit box, just hoping. Can this run green? Can this possibly be this simple? You see Adam Stevens right there, 41 years old, won the championship with Kyle Busch back in 2015, a longtime engineer for Tony Stewart, a ton of success in the Xfinity Series, a driver himself in the dirt late model division. And you just have to think, at this point, can it please just go our way? Winless for the second half of the year. The last thing this 18 team wants, Dave, is a yellow.
And Steve, that winless streak is one of the things that Adam Stevens told me feels so much like 2015, and he gave me the numbers. In 15, they won Indianapolis in July and then endured a 15-race winless drought before they won here in Miami. This year, they won on June 2nd at Pocono and have not been to victory lane since. 4 second-place finishes, but it was here 21 races later that they hoped to end that winless streak. And they're on their way, Kelly, but it's not over yet.
Well, his teammate Martin Truex Jr. trying to track him down, and a little bit surprised to hear just how far back he was. Have a listen.
9:45 this lap. Holy he's got to be on 4 tenths lap. You need up 6 tenths that lap. You just keep working on lap cars, right?
So they told him he needs to be making up a couple tenths a lap. He's asked for Kyle Busch's lap times ahead of him. It sounds like it might be just a little bit too late if they don't get help with a caution. Parker, he says, Martin Truex says he's just a little bit too tight.
Oh, Kelly, the 4 car, Kevin Harvick, is currently the fastest car on the racetrack. Remember, he was the last of the championship for the pit, so he's on the newest tires, currently running 6th and hoping for that caution. You know, for this team, they didn't really think at the beginning of the season they'd even be a part of this championship 4. Stuart-Haas Racing went a direction with the build of their cars, and it turned out to be wrong. And it took a massive team effort throughout the season to change the course of the build of those cars to then go on and win 4 races and be a part of this championship 4. If they're not able to get this championship, they can take solace in the fact that they did all that.
Parker, the ball game might not be over for Denny Hamlin yet. He is close to getting back to the free pass spot and maybe even unlapping himself. Remember, he has fresher Goodyear tires than everyone else, trying to get back up there to get in a position that if a caution comes out, maybe he can get back on the lead lap, and who knows what can happen. But time certainly running out. 19 to go, Rick.
Yeah, he's coming up on Daniel Suarez. He's actually right now scored as the highest scored lap down car. So once he gets past him, he'll be in the free pass position, which he is now until Kyle Busch passes the next lap down car, next car to put them a lap down, which is Daniel Hemrick.
Yeah, Daniel Hemrick's only
There you see it. Daniel Hemrick's only a few car lengths ahead of your leader, so this is a small window for Denny Hamlin and his team to get that yellow they need to get the free pass.
I think Denny Hamlin's actually going to run the 18 down in 4 or 5 laps with the fresher tires, but you know, he needs the yellow as soon as possible to try to then overcome the rest of the cars in the lead lap. Even running where he is, he's 12th. You see Hemrick in front of the 18 car.
As we roll back to the field, thinking about Kevin Harvick, he's got himself back up to 6th. But there's 3 people between he and Truex. Eric Jones running 3rd. A good run for Eric Jones. Clint Boyer, a good run in 4th. Logano running 5th. He needs to get in front of those guys, so if he does get that caution, he can enter pit road much closer and have a shot to come out, you know, in those first 2 rows.
We look at what Joe Gibbs Racing has done by putting 3 drivers into the championship for 75% chance of winning the title. But coming into this race, they had won 18 races already, which ties the most races ever won by an organization in a season. So a win here by either Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., or Denny Hamlin would break that record. They would be the most dominant team in a season in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
Kyle Busch laps Daniel Hemrick there. Daniel Hemrick running in 11th place. Last run for this team. Having to move on next year. Great run for them guys, but that takes Hamlin out of the free pass zone. Dave.
And Junior, think about the emotion swing for the 18 team this year. Last year on pit road, not a good day. They lost positions all day long. But you know what? That really overshadowed the fact that the car was not good enough to win the race. Remember, they gave him the lead late in the race, but his car wasn't good enough. This year, it's all been corrected. The crews had a stellar day on pit road, and that 18 car has turned things around. It's the fastest one on the track.
Nervous looking crew, but you see those pit crew members helmet on. They're not out of the game. They know a yellow. They have to engage, re-engage, have another pit stop. The emotions of these closing laps to being in the pit box. The driver, I know he's nervous, guys, but he's out there having something to do. He's still working. A pit crew guy, a crew chief, you're sitting there a little bit helpless. You don't know if you're going to be part of the game or if your job's done for the night.
These guys remind me of special teams in football, right? You got to go out and kick that game-winning field goal, sit on the sidelines all day, and then when you have to deliver, you have to do it. This team right here, I want to tell you how impressed I am with how they've stepped up today. I just didn't give them that big of a shot coming into this race because they haven't run well. They haven't been the best of the Ford Championship drivers and teams in 11 races. 11 straight races, they've not finished in front of these other 3. And today, they have been just really, really fast. You see Denny Hamlin running him down and trying to get that lap back.
That's to get back on the lead lap. Again, Denny Hamlin on a lap down had to come back to pit road, had too much tape on the grill. It was overheating, so he was on pit road to get that done, and while he was doing that, he went a lap down, trying to unlap himself. We sat down with Kyle Busch, and I mentioned to him, I said, Kyle, does it having a 4-year-old with Brexton put things into perspective when you have a bad day? Because he's had a lot of bad days, 21 races where he hasn't been to victory lane. He said, yeah, sometimes it's good, as we see the 11 now unlapping himself. So Denny Hamlin trying to get by that 18 to unlap himself. But Kyle Busch said, yeah, sometimes it's good. It puts it back into perspective that, you know, it's just racing. But he said, other times when I come home, Brexton will say, well, why didn't you win, Daddy? He said, I just drop my head and go, oh, boy. So not only do I get it from the media and from the fans, but I also get it from my 4-year-old son, too.
Yeah, the crazy thing about Kyle is they had the best average finish of anybody this year, but he has the worst average finish at Homestead of our 4 championship contenders. No wins on 1.5-mile tracks at all this year.
You can't count this guy out. There's so much talent there. A lot of talk this year about his frustration, right? How frustrated he's been with this package. And he's expressed it. He's shown it at the races and made people question, was he focused? Could he be focused enough to win this championship? But clearly came into here, was able to put all those things behind him and do what he needed to do. Now, it's not over. We've all seen these late race cautions. But so far today, Kyle Busch has been that championship driver that we all know he can be.
You mentioned late race cautions. Well, Martin Truex Jr. has continued to grind into the lead, has it under 5 seconds now. Do I think he can make that up in 10 laps without issue? Perhaps not, but he's close enough where if the 18 car, mistimes the run on a lap car, makes a mistake. We've seen guys get into the fence even though he's maybe not running quite as high as he has in the past here. You know, Dale, 5 seconds is a little bit more manageable margin for Martin Truex Jr. if the 18 does make a mistake.
Yeah, it's probably best that Kyle knows nothing about the fact that that 19 car is closing in on him. Even though it is a comfortable 5 seconds, he has 8 into that lead quite a bit here. I wouldn't be telling my driver nothing about that. I'm telling just keep on being smooth. 9 laps to go.
I think another thing we've seen all year long is how slower cars have impacted races. We've seen it many times. Actually, late race, mid-race, cause incidences. I know everybody's going to try to stay out of his way, but anything can happen.
Yeah, it's been an incredible year for Joe Gibbs Racing. We talk about the highs and potentially breaking the record of most wins, but it started off on probably the biggest low that could possibly happen with the loss of J.D. Gibbs. That happened on January 11th to start this season, and he was over the whole entire organization. So J.D. Gibbs was as big of a Kyle Busch fan as he was of Martin Truex Jr., Denny Hamlin, anybody that worked for that organization or raced for that organization. So this right here could be the end of a dream season. Really, they won the Daytona 500 with Denny Hamlin to start the year. And now, under 8 laps to go for Kyle Busch to potentially end the year as a 2-time champion.
And Joe Gibbs Racing currently running first with Kyle Busch, second with Martin Truex Jr., third with Eric Jones. I think we all expected Denny Hamlin to be the third place Gibbs car. If there was going to be one here tonight, be up there in the mix. He's currently running 10th, so all 4 in the top 10, but 1, 2, 3 currently.
This company led, obviously, by Joe Gibbs. Think about that. 3 Super Bowl wins in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 2020 NASCAR Hall of Fame. I mean, Joe Gibbs, he's a winner, just quite simply. He knows how to get the right people. He knows how to motivate them, and he knows and he's smart enough to let them do their job.
Guys, Kyle Busch, 6 laps to go for a championship, just under 5 seconds. As a crew chief, I know I am begging for no yellow. Can you let your mind wander behind the wheel? Are you thinking of that at all, or is it just task at hand?
Man, I am nervous. I mean, there's no way that you can't be. I mean, winning a race with this kind of a lead, you hear noises, you feel things, you're terrified something's going to happen, you're waiting to hear a caution, and it's just, you know, that's a regular race. That's not this race with the championship on the line.
You're looking at it. When you come down the front straightaway, you see the flag man, and he's holding out. He's holding his hands out. 5 laps to go. He's showing you the fingers. And you cannot wait to get back around to see 4, 3, 2. You want to see that white flag. You cannot. It is extremely torturous to sit here and have to run these final few laps with this kind of a lead and everything that's on the line.
Coming up on 4 laps to go for Kyle Busch. He has a 4.5-second lead. Without a caution, Martin Truex Jr. is not going to catch him. Nobody's going to catch him. And now 4 laps to go. Kyle Busch, the regular season champion. He said, if I win this championship, I feel like it's going to justify the first championship, because he actually mentioned to us, he thinks it has an asterisk next to it because he didn't run the full season.
I was amazed when he said that. In my mind, that championship is good as any other, maybe even more impressive with a shorter season. But the fact that it was top of his mind tells me that it has bothered him. He's heard the comments about other people about that season.
When he first said it, I know what he's talking about. He said that first one has an asterisk next to it. I went, what are you talking about? I did not know and did not even remember that.
Not to mention the physical pain of the injuries and the rehab. I think when he was injured and actually having to start that rehab, the championship was out of mind, right? And to be able to come through that, the physical setback.
And he had to win to make it into the playoff system. He was able to win, get enough points, even though he didn't run all the races. And then he won that championship. Well, now he's in a position, as he says, to justify the first and win the second. 2 laps to go in Miami.
And the only people that can question his championship caliber and the driving ability are people that just don't want him to do well. I mean, this guy, he is a winner, plain and simple.
You saw a statistic there just a moment ago, 55 wins. Right now, that's a tie for 9th all-time wins with Rusty Wallace. All-time. This young man, at just 34 years old, is already in the top 10 all all-time wins list for NASCAR. One lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank. One more time around. And Kyle Busch, you see him moving as wide as the camera shot got there. Nobody around him. What a performance he has put on this evening. 119 laps have been led. Kyle Busch, he's the winningest driver of the decade, and now he is joining elite company. Kyle Busch is going to win his second Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series championship.
Awesome year. Thank you, boys. Old two-timer out there. Proud of you, buddy. Way to stick with it. Great job, guys.
It's happened again. It took a win. He had to win the race to win the championship every single time in this format. It has taken a win. And you saw the crew's reaction. They're going to hand him the championship banner, the flag. Holding it in while the official was checking the lug nuts actually on the car there. And now he'll celebrate here at Homestead-Miami Speedway. You think back to his career. At the age of 16, he was actually at a racetrack about to get into a NASCAR truck to go for a race. And NASCAR said, wait a second, you're too young. He had already run a couple races, but they changed the rule and said, we can't have you behind the wheel. So at 16, he was taken out of the car. But at just 34 years old, what an incredible accomplishment already by this Las Vegas driver. This victory fueled by Sunoco. Fuel your best.
He's in elite company. Now only the 16th different driver to have multiple championships in the 70-plus years NASCAR's been around.
Junior, it's interesting you say that, and I was just thinking of the fact that Kyle Busch is a polarizing figure. Your father was a polarizing figure as well. I mean, when he started winning so many races, fans would be like, well, wait a second. You know, I don't know if we want to cheer for this guy anymore. But that's kind of the way Kyle Busch has now moved up into that category. You mentioned elite category, multiple championships for him.
Yeah, I think he's a guy who feels like that he should already have multiple championships. This is definitely something that he needed badly tonight. He's only 34 years old. I mean, there's no reason why he can't go win 3, 4, 5 championships, if not even more. He wanted to stay around another 10, 11 years. He could.
Busch, it's been 21 races since he's been able to take a bow, but that's the trademark for the driver of the 18. He'll salute the crowd, bow to them. He's down there with it.
Rick, in a playoff season where everybody wondered when Kyle Busch was going to show up, he picked a great day to have a great day. Kyle Busch, the champion, soaking the moment in. You can tell after a summer and fall of questions, does that make this moment even sweeter, Kyle?
Yeah, we have a great race team and a great owner and even the best sponsor in sports. And I just can't say enough and thank everyone enough for this opportunity. I may be the one that's able to hoist a trophy or to have a championship, but it wouldn't be possible without Adam Stevens and Coach Joe Gibbs, JD Gibbs, Coy Gibbs, the whole family. M&M's, of course, Interstate Batteries and Norm Miller, and Toyota. This TRD engine was awesome tonight. It's been awesome all year. We had one issue, but man, it's so much fun to work with these guys and this group and everybody that puts it all together for me. So, you know, there's always your doubters, there's always your haters, but you know what? This one's for Rowdy Nation because you guys are the best. So, thank you so much.
Rexon and Samantha here waiting to come in. Let them have the family moment here.
Yes, I am. On the stage, okay, cool, man.
And Kyle, it is about family. What about winning this one for the Joe Gibbs Racing family and for Joe Gibbs after all he's been through, especially with the passing of JD in January?
Yeah, it's I know it's been a difficult time on JD or Melissa and Joe, and to be able to reward them with a championship, this is I don't know how much it means to them, but it's the best I can do, you know. And I know JD was looking down on us all year long. I mean, damn, what a season Joe Gibbs Racing put together. And for as awesome as our group is and everybody back at the shop and how awesome they are of building some really, really special race cars, we put it on them this time.
This was a different celebration. You kind of seemed to soak it in a little bit with the fans. What was that about?
Well, the last time I did a burnout first, it messed up the flag and everything, so I wanted to get a good shot with the flag everywhere and make sure everybody could get a good shot of the flag because we're the 2019 champions.
To answer the bell like this, at a race like this, on a stage like this, what kind of statement is that from the 18 team, Kyle?
Everybody always says you never give up, and we're no different. And we just do what we can do to each and every week. And sometimes we may not be the best. Sometimes we may not have the right track position. Today we had a really good car, and I could race around and move around. And that's what's so special about Homestead-Miami Speedway is the ability to put on a show. And felt like we did that there racing those guys. I know it kind of dulled out, I guess, towards the end, but it was exciting enough for my seat. You know, it was a lot of fun and to cap off such an amazing year.
We talk about how it's about family. Look who's here. His brother Kurt, who was holding Brexton a moment ago. The Busch family, Kyle Busch, the 2019 Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series champion.
All smiles for Kyle Busch and everyone. Saw Kurt come in, grab Brexton. You could overhear Brexton asking his dad, "Daddy, gonna throw me in the air again?" That's another tradition that Kyle Busch has done with his 4-year-old son. After every win, he has thrown him up in the air when they get to victory lane. We're here on NBC until 7 o'clock. Stay with us for the celebration, the continued celebration of a two-time champion. Kyle Busch said we put it on him. 120 laps left of this 267-lap race. Mentioned the passing of J.D. Gibbs. Joe Gibbs with a big smile on his face and looking to the heavens, knowing that J.D. was looking down on this championship. Kyle Busch wins it.